Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you on the day 2 of eCommerce Festive Sales Summit. Yesterday on day 1 Sales Summit, we saw a huge success where we saw numerous brands, retailers participated, and our experts from different domain answered uh, many of the burning questions and the concerns to prepare them for the festive seasons. Uh, on the day 1 session, we saw somewhere around thousands plus registrations, 200 plus number of attendees, people attended our sessions, and more than 100 plus live questions have been answered by our panelists. And average feedback we got like almost 5. So that was very good success what we had on the day 1. So we're expecting the same on today also. So today at day 2, it's going to be really very exciting also, as we are going to have a speakers from multiple domain who are a market leader in their respective domains, such as DHL, Payo Asia, Powercommerce, Valuefirst, Sellerapp. So will help us demystify and help sellers hack growth by sharing best case practices and help you with all the concerns to help make the best out of these sessions. So I'm not going to take much time. I know like you want to listen to our speakers. So by not taking a much time, I'll ask my colleague Vandana, my co-host of the event, to quickly brief about the sessions, and then we can start the session. So Vandana, over to you now.
Yes, Amita, thank you so much. Hi, everyone, and welcome all of you to our day 2 of the summit. I am Vandana, host for the today's session. Let me quickly brief you on the format of the session. So we'll be having 5 sessions today again from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., each session being of 30 minutes. Each speaker will be presenting for about 20 minutes, introducing their services and giving their best case practices. And the last 10 minutes, we will be taking question and answers of the audience. At the end of the 5th session, stay back because we'll be having a networking forum with Q&A, question and answers from the audience. That is from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Those who want to ask questions or have any concerns from any of the speakers, they can raise their hand and we will give the rights to them to interact live. Also, we don't want you to hold back your questions and would request you all to post your questions in the Q&A section only, not in the chat box. So I think we are good to start. I think let's start the day with an exciting session by David from DHL. Just let me put in a brief introduction of David. So here we have David, who is a direct sales manager of at DHL, and he is very, very experienced in the cross-border shipping. David, I would request you to maybe share your screen. I'm stopping to share my screen. And
not a problem, not a problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. It is really a pleasure on this one, and it is really so exciting, right, to see a lot of people really see this is a growing opportunity. And before kickstarts, I would really hope everyone please stay safe and really stay healthy. Keep yourself, stay away from the pandemic. Stay fit, and the business is really market is really very optimistic in the e-commerce sectors. I will share with you a lot of the insight regarding how we can penetrate into the industry and how DHL Express able to be a partner to support your logistic requirement. The topic of today is very simple from my end. It's really try to demystifying the cross-border shipping, right? We will share about the insight, we'll share about the tips, we will share about the know-how, and this will able to support, right, all our people here, right, to understand on cross-border e-commerce a little bit more, as well as how logistic player able to contribute on the grow together. Okay. Please feel free to raise your questions in the chat functions. And of course, we will have our colleague from Unicommerce to really consolidate that. And later on at the end of the presentations, then if I can answer you on the spot, I will try my best. If something that myself can't answer on immediate on the spot, then definitely you can drop them an email, and then we will follow up that with you on that part as well. So before I start, I really like the objective that has been shared just now, right? We will want to making e-commerce selling simplified, right? And that is something that we want, right? When we want to do business, we try to understand the business more. We want it to be much more easier to manage, and we want to find out where is the opportunity on this part, right? So I hope my little bit of sharing will able to contribute a little bit to you, and please feel free to ask questions. About myself, right? I have been in 10 years in the Express Logistic Partner service on that part. I'm based in Malaysia, a very sunny town that is very safety now as well. We are work from home in our capital city, Kuala Lumpur. We are really having a lot of e-commerce opportunity and e-commerce seller in Malaysia here. No, not saying about domestic and cross-border. So both group of customers that is very active in Malaysia that selling the so-called the e-commerce business sectors on that one. Myself has been working with DHL for past 10 years, and the key job role will be really about the focusing on growing the SME sectors, which is one of my main tasks is try to bring them venture into the B2C or e-commerce segments, right? A lot of them do not have this exposure. They are traditional B2B. We work with some solutions, we give them some insights, we share with them some good opportunities. They really capitalize that, and they really start selling cross-border as well. Myself as a guest speaker for most of the e-commerce partnership event in Malaysia, Payoneer, PayPal, and also we're also seeing eBay, and also some government bodies that they are organizing some conference that really try to inspire more Malaysians, right, sell their products into cross-border as well. One of the key things that is quite notable to share that for Malaysia, one of our king of fruits, durian, is a fruit that it is very difficult for, I would say it is very tasty, depends on people, and that will need to be exported to overseas. You will require a lot of solutions, and we have successfully invented the farm to table concept, which help the farmer or the orchard owner able to direct export the fruits. Today they harvest, tomorrow that we will arrive the customer doorstep on that part. So that is a very dynamic industry, e-commerce sectors, and I really enjoy a lot over here. Yep. Yeah, I think simplify is everyone wish, I would say that. But cross-border e-commerce, right? Everyone also will have a lot of myths, a lot of worry, a lot of concern, right? How they really want to enter into these particular sectors, right? And when they enter, right, what they really require to take note on that part. So for here, right, we also can see that, yeah, they really need to have a big plan. They really need to plan it very detailedly to sell it internationally. So the plan, but we didn't see any of the executions. And also there are a lot of people that they are start worrying that when you stay about cross-border, the cost is very high. You need to invest a lot on your digital marketing. Your logistic cost is very high. This is people start worrying on that part as well. And we have no knowledge on what is the people country, what is the others country talking about their taxes, their VAT, their permits, their requirements. So if without good knowledge, how we want to enter into people borders, right, to really do the e-commerce selling on that part. Yeah, we don't know who is the one that the parcel carrier able to really help us to delivery door to door. And we also that staying in local is always very comfortable, and you have easily able to sell on that part. So a lot of myths, that a lot of worry that has been hunted around, and that have stopping a lot of e-commerce sellers do not dare to make another move in front. But today, right, what I will really share is we are sharing a little bit of tips and to formulate an effective e-commerce strategy, right, to get your business, right, to clicking globally on that part. I think this is what we want, right? We want to see it more than what is in our port now, what is more than in our local market now, how we really can penetrate cross-border, how we really can penetrate into international market, right? I think that is something that we really look forward, and that is where the gold mine, right? That's where you can earn more revenue, earn more business from the global market, right? So 4 sectors that I will be cover: understand the customer journey, knowing your market and opportunity, understand the custom clearance, and last but not least, it will be a great and reliable logistic partner, right? That able to support and having synergy to grow together on this sector. So I will very kickstart with understand the customer journey, right? Before I show anything, right? A lot of shippers that when I try to chat with them during my customer visits, right? When I before we offer any solutions to them, right? We really like to listen to them, right? Their sharings, right? How is their understand on their customer journey? What is their point of view on that part, right? However, we tend to find out from a lot of customers that when they sharing, right, their perception is one customer clicking, once they receive the transactions from the customers, right, then they consider the transactions completed. And this is what we try to correct their perceptions on that, on the point of view that it shouldn't be this way on that part, right? It shouldn't be not because of you receive the payment from your customers, the transactions considered completed. We try to share with them that the end-to-end process, it should be considered much more things than that, not just because not just only sticking on the transactions, but it's the overall customer journey, customer experience, and the customer's perspective on that part, right? You know, we really need to find out what is the customer end-to-end journey, right? From their end of view, and what is their consideration point, right? And what is really they really looking serious into, and what is the support needed from them, right? So with that, then only you able to create customer loyalty, right? And also I think this is very important, is about the repeat purchase on that part. So we have been speaking with a lot of the SME e-commerce shippers, right? We also try to change their perceptions and mindset that they not only require to taking care until the payment gateway, but they also need to ensure that the delivery service, right, the end-to-end transactions, right, they will need to give a good ordering system for the customer. They need to ensure that they need to give the customer confidence on the rating. They need to ensure the product quality is good. They need to ensure that the things come, the order system is easy for the customer. They need to ensure that the fulfillment is timely for the customer, and they need to ensure that the customer make the payment and easily in a hassle-free model, and also that the customer receive the goods, right, in a very good condition and fast. Because sometimes majority of the times when customer buy one thing, right, they want it to use it, they want it to use it as a gift to send to people, right? And from our survey, we know that, right, 87%, right, of the customers, right, if we really deal, give them a very pleasant of delivery experience, right, they will having the repeat purchase on this part. So I think understanding of customer journey, it is very important, and each connection point, right, is an area for us to drive the improvement, right, to ensure, right, they have a pleasant end-to-end journey. So if after we understand the customer, right, then we also need to understand, right, where is the market and how we can get more market insight to further penetrate, right? What is the things that I want to sell? What is the things that I can sell better? What is the marketplace? What kind of demographic of people that we really need to penetrate on? I think this is very important, because of when we know that what is the demographic, where is the market, right? Then we're able to plan the product, we're able to plan the suppliers and everything, right? Then to further penetrate the market. But where we can get the insight, and is that insight reliable or not? So how we, as a DHL, as a logistics service provider, able to support our customers, right? We do have a free online portal that's sharing the informations about the e-commerce, which is what we so-called the discover.dhl.com, right? And this discover.dhl.com, right, we do have a particular segment that is sharing about the e-commerce related topics. And this, when you enter into this website, right, you're really able to drown into this website and you can enjoy all the knowledge sharing from our global colleagues, right? That is very useful on these informations. My customers share with me particular that they really enjoy a lot of reading because a lot of reading is really up to date and really relevant to them. I just screenshot another 2-3 articles that I screenshot this morning. It is very relevant, right? It's just only require 4 minutes read, right? It's about the single day China golden egg. You know, this is the opportunity, and they will share how is the growth of that one, what things is new in e-commerce, what are the things that they launch, and also I think the key topic will be the Black Friday. Black Friday is coming, and what is the market of US looking like for Black Friday? Is that good? Is that people not going out? Is that people worrying? Is Black Friday will able to drive another significant increase for e-commerce? All these kind of key insight will able for us to really do a proper planning. Also, will able to let us having a proper identify of which sectors that we can further penetrate on this particular insight. So we always say, right, data is the new oxygens, right? And how we can get the new oxygens, right? This is very useful that for you to digest and having this kind of informations to further plan ahead than your competitions on that part. Okay. Another areas that you can get the market insight and also the market informations allowed me to share with you. Our DHL Express Facebook, we also consistently sharing more information with our customers in order to equip them to understand what are the new trend, what are the new informations that is coming up. So let me share with you one examples, one post that DHL Express Malaysia posting, right? This will be very informative, I would say. This will be very informative for all our B2C sellers, right? And these are the key dates that all the B2C sellers, right, require to take note and plan even ahead on that part. I think we shared this particular post in the earlier of the year. It is really our e-commerce seller, right, to really take note that, hey, don't just look at the festive, don't just look at the celebration in your country, but in this kind of days, in the global sector, in the global perspective, right, there is a big demand, there's a big sales going on the global sectors on that part. So we can see a few big names that is around on that part. You can see Valentine's Day in the month of February. In the month of February, the Valentine's Day, all the goods, all the gift. Yeah, myself is not contributing. That's why I'm being grounded. Yeah. So no, joke aside, I think Valentine's Day is a very key important days that you can team up with certain things that if you are selling gift and everything. Amazon Prime Day in the 13th of July. That's Amazon Prime Day. In the month of October, you can see, I would like to draw your attention in the month of October. Maybe a lot of our countries in Asia, we are not celebrating Halloween, right? In Asia, majority of us is really not celebrating Halloween. But in the following slide, I will share with you, right, how we can, as an e-commerce seller, right, participate in these Halloween sectors, particularly their global demand. And we will show you some data that, right, this is really something that we should open our eyes bigger and really capitalize on the so-called the global sales on that part. And now we should, at the month of Q4, right, at the end of Q4, right, we should really focusing on the Halloween, the single day, which is having the not now a lot of us that we thought that single day is only happen in China. Yes, China do have the biggest single day sales in terms of Tmall, in terms of Taobao. They are having a lot of activities and promotions, right? But in the meantime, right, a lot of local country marketplaces, right, they also promoting very hard on their own local 11/11 sales, right? Like Malaysia, our Lazada and Shopee, right? They also will capitalize on this single day momentum, and they are having their own sales as well. So this is at the eastern side of the world, but western side of the world, we know that this is very big. It's coming. We have this 27th November and 30th November about the Black Friday. This is definitely a big one, and also Cyber Monday. This will be the big holiday. This will be the biggest shopping season for the November, and a lot of them, they will really spend a lot. And after November, then for December, that before December, right, a lot of people will do their pre-Christmas shopping, and hence a lot when we can see our customer, the volume uptick, right, they will be normally start from early November. The early November, the Christmas shopping has started as well on that part. So the Boxing Day, all this is really fantastic kind of festive, right? And all this festive, right? They really the demand, the demand, the purchasing power is really increased a lot, and this is really very exciting, right? To really drive a lot of people, right? To really focus on, and when that is demand, right? As us as an e-commerce sellers, right, we really need to ensure that our supplies, our delivery, our experience, our end-to-end experience for our customers, right, is really been really good taking care of. If we taking care of them, if we take good care of them now, right, definitely the repurchase will be there as well on that part. Okay. Here, I think I share about Halloween, right? So I would like to further share a little bit about the data and statistics, right? This is not about myself. This is, I capture the data from the CNBC side, right, on that part, right? So they already do a studies that, yes, is pandemic impacting US people celebrating the Halloween? Yes, it is. It is. It is I would say it is a little bit of downward trend on that part. We can see past a few years, they are hitting up about the Americans celebrating is about 175 to 179 million people celebrating. This year is only about 150 million people celebrating. But the average spending per buyer we are looking at, they have been increased. And the total spending is 8 billion. Yes, it is decreased from 9 billion to 8 billion, but half cup full, half cup empty. Half cup full, half cup empty, right? This is a 8 billion market opportunity on that part. If we really look into it, if we really able to prepare it, and if we really penetrate it, and that is a good opportunity for us to really enter into it. So some of our sellers, right, what they are selling during the Halloween festive, right, the sales will be start picking up actually early of October. My customers start shipping it up early October. These are the things: the cosmetics, the contact lenses, the wig, the costume, and the decorations item. So these are the few things that you think that the US people, maybe they can get it domestically, but you will be very surprised that they really frequently source online, particularly for those people that with their own website and use digital marketing strategies. When people try to find the certain things of goods, right, then they will be able to reach you, and these are the goods that they are really look for. They need some contact lens to make them look good. They need some cosmetic to make up, to attend party and everything, right? So these are, and as well as I think decorations for them is one of the key big things they will want to have it in their house as well. So this is the area that I would like to share on that part. So these are the business opportunity. I will go a little bit faster. So here I will share a little bit about understanding on the customer and clearance. This is very important because when you try to sell cross-border, then these are the area that you would need to take care, take note on in order for you to really prepare. I will just raise your question in the Q&A chat box so that if you have anything need me to clarify, I will able to share with you as well on that part, right? So for B2C, right, e-commerce selling, right, normally there will be majority of my sellers that they will go into two Incoterm. One is DDP, DAP, one is DDP. DAP will be delivery at place, and DDP will be delivery duty paid. So you, as an e-commerce seller, right, you really need to state down very clearly in your website, right? So when you are having these transactions, right, what are which party will be the one that who paying for the duty tax when the duty tax incurred in the destination country. So this is in order to avoid dispute for your end. If not, once the customer dispute, they give you a bad rating, then you will impact your sales as well on this part. So do have a clear communications, or you need to have a clear statement in the transaction saying that if any duty and taxes occur in your at the destinations, right, who will be the party that will be need to responsible for on that part. Okay. The total landed cost, it is very important to know that this total landed cost, right, once total the freight cost, the item cost added up together, once they're landing up at the destination country, right, what will be the duty and taxes will be on. And this part is a little bit of complicated, but for DHL Express, our customer able to use our trade automation system, right, to really find out that, right, if their product cost is 100 USD, their freight cost is 10 USD, their insurance is 2 USD. So with all this CIF value, right, once they enter into the particular destinations, right, what will be the duty and taxes will be, so that they can do a good budgeting for their own selling price. So de minimis is already
five more minutes, sorry. 5 to 10 minutes. So
okay, I think this will be quite easier for them to digest on that part. So I would say DHL informations will be able to support them as well for the international shipping, the customer clearance, as well as the easy return as well on that part. This is very easy informations that you can get from our website, and this will much more. We're also having some useful tools, right, for our customers, right, to really prepare them in terms of the shipment preparations, automations, and as well as we are helping the end-to-end tools, right. This will be a good tools that if your customers, if we are set up an account for you, right, once your customer purchase from you and you send it out, right, then your customer will able to start receiving the message of how is the status of the shipments. And it will also able to get it from the updated rearrangement of the shipments, which means of how they want to redirect the shipments on that part as well. So this is ensure that we support the seller and we want to deliver a end-to-end pleasant experience, right, for the buyer, so that in order to generate a repetitive purchase on that part. So I would say that I will summarize the DHL informations in a very brief way, because it is very easy to reach us, right? As long as you Google DHL Express, you go to Facebook, you find DHL Express, and your country team for DHL Express country team, right, will able to reach you. And I believe that they can reach you within the same day, or latest will be the next day on that part. I will leave it to the Q&A on that part.
Thanks a lot. This was amazing. I have one question which I can see as
sorry, a bit soft.
Hello.
Can
you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Now better.
Okay. So one question that I have from the audience that we collected the survey is, one of the key requirements of cross-border shipping is getting shorter delivery times. Are there cost-effective means of attaining shorter delivery times, and maybe how DHL helps in doing that?
Okay, so it is a very good question, right? A lot of people keep on asking, right? Why we need to shorten the delivery time? Is it very cost-effective or not? From my customer sharing, right? Their sharing is when they provide express service, right? For shipper benefit, right, they can get the transactions complete faster and they can get the cash back faster. You know, if you are using a certain international payment platform, right, you will only receive your payment once the shipment delivered. Okay, once the shipment delivered, the so-called the buyer giving your so-called feedback saying that I received the shipments, then the certain payment gateway will release the payment to you. So this will able to help the shipper having a good cash flow control on that one. Of course, faster delivery, it will able to give you having higher basket value. on that part, right? When people know that that is the logistic cost, right, and they will consolidate a few more items from your website and then ship it over that part. Third, of course, fastest delivery, right? It will also look at the customer end-to-end pleasant experience as well. So I think these are the three factors that from my customer sharing that it will able to benefit for both shipper as well as the buyer.
Perfect. Thank you so
David.
much.
I think Vandana, there's one question in
Yeah.
Q&A session also.
Right. David, there's a question from Jet. What do you think affects the increase in average spending per buyer? Are customers finding bundles and promos more effective to their buying decisions? This is more towards cross-border. In cross-border.
Sorry, I think I miss you. Okay.
Okay, so the question is, what do you think affects the increase in average spending per buyer? Are customers finding bundles and promos more effective to their buying decisions?
I would say a yes though. If there is a deal of the bundle deals, right, then and that will be able to increase your basket value, right, and that definitely will increase the sales for you, and that is a good strategy as well, because a few of my customers, right, they are really having the same strategies, and their bundle sales, right, is always in the top I would say top category of their total products on that part.
Right.
Yep.
So David, thank you so much. There are also a lot of people who are saying that if you can share these slides, because we could not go through the entire slides of VH. You can maybe share in the chat, or you can send it to us and we'll share with the registrar.
Yeah, right? not a problem though. I think this is a good information to share with a lot of people. Allow me to final touch up a little bit on the slide, and then I will send across to you guys, and you guys will help us to further distribute if that's available.
All right. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And looking forward for the networking
you.
session. We'll see you there. There will be a lot of more questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Vandana, let's move to our next session.
Yes, definitely. So we have next session with Powercommerce. Hadi, are you there? So Hadi is the CEO and founder of Powercommerce. Hadi would request you to maybe share your screen, give a brief introduction, and take up the next session.
Yes.
Okay, just
sorry, can you give me an access to have a share the screen?
Hi Hadi, you have already given the right. Please check once again.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Anybody can see in my slide?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good afternoon and good day to everybody. So I think really exciting to have the second webinar I joined with organized by the Unicommerce. I think this is always a really great event being organized. So today I would like to share about the, of course, I'm only talks about mostly focus in the Indonesian market. So what I'm trying to share with you is about the how then situations of the market changes after the Corona COVID pandemic in Indonesia, and then which also related to the upcoming festive seasons on the national e-commerce or online shoppings on the next 2 months, November and also December. I mean, that's if David share you about the Black Friday and so on, we in Indonesia have also about the national online shopping events. So So that's the next on how then the e-commerce omnichannel can also resolutions about the e-commerce market situations and market challenge in Indonesia in the third of the agenda. So let me start with the how then the latest COVID situation and then already changes the landscape of the e-commerce and also mostly about the total retail landscape in Indonesia. Yeah, here is the first, and suddenly after the last 7 months have been facing difficult situation on the COVID pandemic in the global as well as in Indonesia. So suddenly most of the companies and the business trying to digitalize, to transform their business through the digital. So there is a joke in the market is who actually leading the digital transformation to the business in the company is actually not the CEO, not the CTO, but the COVID thing. I think this one is actually really great and really positive because COVID for me is actually like kind like catalyst to speeding up all the transforming the business to the digital, but not also for the company, but also for the life individual. This is I would like to share with you about the data on how the COVID things changing the market. If you've seen in here, so before the COVID and after the COVID, this data is actually taken until about August last August. So since comparing in March to August, because in Indonesia impact is actually pre-COVID, global COVID on the December, and Indonesian COVID is actually just started on the March. On the March is actually the first month is actually Indonesia start to react and to respond in the market after the Corona, and then after that there is starting to the new normal thing, which is starting on the July and onward until now. But then in the major cities still an up and down decision makings coming from the government because of the lockdown and unlockdown situation. So if you see in here that the data can show to us is actually before the Corona to the total compared to the total retail contribution is actually only about the 7 to 8% before the Corona thing, right? So, but then when it comes to the Corona, after the Corona happened, it's actually the e-commerce numbers contributions to the total retail in Indonesia is actually getting increased to become 14 to 15% as of now today. But then why still I can see that still low, even though I mean that the e-commerce has been already more than almost 10 years in Indonesia, but then quite significant after the Corona thing is actually if you see in here the next graph that one of the thing that can boost the e-commerce and the online shopping is actually coming from also the digital wallet or the digital payments. So Indonesia being boosted in 3 players or in the payments or the e-money or e-wallets and also digital money, also contributing growing very fast on how the people consume through the online itself. So if you see on the category, I think in the beginning of March and April during the first period of the Corona, healthcare is actually contributing quite very significant growth. In Powercommerce also, since we are also carrying several big pharmacist company as a client, yeah, I mean that the pharmacist related to the COVID is actually growing until about more than 15 to 20 times compared to the before Corona. But then after the new normal, yes, there is a decreasing of the sales. But still, if we are comparing to the before Corona, the baseline after the Corona, after the new normal era, as of now, that's still the baseline average of the e-commerce online shop is actually value is actually still much bigger compared to the before Corona baseline average. So the number is actually about in between 3 to 4 times new baseline average after the Corona compared to before Corona itself. So if you think about the category, I mean that you see healthcare now starting food and beverage drinks is now getting quite significant increase. In the beginnings, if you see in electronics, because most of the people now starting to go for the, familiar with the getting more digitalized, right? So electronics, some of them is actually in the certain category in the electronic is actually increasing, and also the hobbies, even like in cooking and etc. because of the lockdown situation. So that's the thing. And then the most important is actually I would like to share with you about the groceries market size in the e-commerce. So this groceries market size in the e-commerce is actually happens growing very significant during the new normal conditions, which is that Indonesia is, was been already applying the lockdown since about the May and June. So until today, we are still having in the certain big cities in the partial lockdown in the big cities. So this one is actually giving an impact to the groceries market in the e-commerce. So many, at least 4 major players in the e-commerce in Indonesia, like Shopee, Tokopedia, Lazada, Blibli, now starting to go also in that category market as well, in the groceries market size. And then based on the data we have is actually the growth of the groceries market is actually about 5 to 6 times compared to even previous before Corona situation. If you see the most interesting is part on the groceries is actually this one mostly coming from the new shopper. So when we are doing some data analysis, is actually we did check. So the shoppers or the buyers in the online to buy the groceries is actually mostly is actually came from the last less than 6 months. So mostly even in the last 1 to 2 months during the new normal things. So in this definition, in this meanings that the market for the groceries is actually in the online is actually coming from the shopper is actually coming from really the new acquisition customer. So that's the situation in that particular. But I just would like to share with you about the situation. Even though before and after the Corona things in Indonesia, when it comes to the distributions, nationwide distribution, still even after the Corona, most of the e-commerce buyers, it's actually coming from only 80% coming from the Java Islands, right? Java Islands. And then out of this 80% Java Island is actually 70%, about 70% is actually coming from the big cities like Jakarta Greater. So in that particular, even though the e-commerce has been already increased because of the Corona thing, but still the sales distribution still contributed mostly coming from the Java and also coming from the Jakarta Greater area. It's not so much coming through to the nationwide. Why this is happened? When we are seeing that Indonesians market behavior is actually mostly being triggered by 2 factors. One is actually the discounting product of the product sales. The second one is actually about the delivery cost. So, and then the fact at the moment is actually any kind of the orders from the e-commerce in the online is actually will fulfill from centralistic fulfillment center, which is they are coming from Jakarta area. So why it's no wonder that the distribution will be centralized to the Jakarta cities and also in Java, either in Java. So that's not really much distributed in the nationwide for the about the 17,000 islands covered as a nationwide archipelago landscape. So why in this particular still e-commerce still cannot yet significantly contributing to the distributing of the product, and to the and also cannot yet distributing significantly about the online shopping services behavior to the nationwide. So just would like to share with you then why then the Powercommerce coming up with the solutions concept of the e-commerce omnichannel and supply chain management. This is also to tackle down about that situations. So I just would like share about what we are doing, we are trying doing to the market, and trying to solve to provide the resolution to the market. So the company is actually tagline is actually want to help as an empowering your brand. So we are actually dealing with the B2B principle, or the brand owners, or the distributor, or the manufacturing. Then our technology platform as an e-commerce solution and supply chain management solution and services want to in our mission want to provide the solution that the brand can be able to sell their product in anywhere, anytime, and also in any platform, in both in the online as well as in the offline. So what we are trying to do and to provide the solution is actually about our technology is actually solution to have an omnichannel to help the brands specifically to the retail offline is actually to build the new concept of the digital retail. And then we are trying to integrating through the omnichannel by creating the new customer experience. And also we are trying to help the market on the supply chain retail management itself. So what we are trying to resolution the situation market in Indonesia. The technology lens platform is actually trying to integrating and then to synchronize all the sales channel with multi-type of the customer type, either in the end user B2C, in the B2B, B2G, even in the cross-border export as well. So we are trying to provide one technology platform dashboard, then all type of the customer can be connected in the one platform. So we are trying to define on the our omnichannel definitions divided in the 3 pillars. So our technology divided the first pillar to integrating in the CRM, to integrate on the CRM also the customer service. So meaning that our technology in one dashboard can integrate it any kind of the customer services channel, communication channels, and also the CRM channels, either coming from the channels of the call, social media, chats, website, marketplace, and so on. But the most important, our core omnichannel is actually in the sales channel and omnichannel. What we are trying to do is actually we are integrating in one technology dashboard that to connect both online and offline. And then this online also not only about the marketplace, but we are integrating with the website, commerce, reseller, platform, affiliate, community, social commerce, messaging and chat commerce, e-procurement system, including also connecting to the offline, which is that to the offline store through the POS machine cashier. Then also in the fulfillment and logistics, we are trying to consolidate it and integrating one multi-type of the fulfillment and multi-type of the transportation logistic distribution type in the one technology platform. So the concept framework we are trying to do is actually like this. So Powercommerce engine is actually trying to enable and integrating multi-type of the channels in the front end side, the demand generation, both online and offline. And in the online, it's not only about the marketplace B2C, but also we are connecting and integrating to the marketplace B2B as well as the on-demand marketplace. So it will be depend on the required and the needs of the category of the product coming from our client brand. But we do also build and connecting to the website e-commerce, either in the B2C market as well as in the B2B market. And then we do build also the social commerce and chat commerce. And then the last is actually virtual reseller platform. And then offline, and we are also connecting to the offline store. What is the virtual reseller? I will come up later on. What is the virtual? This one is actually to bring the social community, society to become as our reseller agent in the virtual. So in the fulfillment side, in the logistics supply chain, our engine connecting automatically to the multi-type of the fulfillment, either coming from our warehouse, third-party warehouse, connecting with the distributors of the principals, and also either connecting to the POS cashier machine in the offline store. And then our technology algorithm, whatever order coming from 17,000 islands in Indonesia, then our algorithm can automatically detect it from where that these addresses have to be fulfilled coming from the nearest hub decentralization stock point. So our technology is actually trying to decentralize the logistics. So this one is actually to respond on how why then the problem in Indonesia that e-commerce market is at the moment still being focusing and centralized in Java Island and also in the Jakarta greater cities, not in the nationwide. What we are trying in the omni-channel technology itself we built is actually we are trying to resolution about the logistic issue to become decentralized fulfillment. In this technology, also we are trying to build the tower control tower and dashboard. So we are trying to build the closed loop ecosystem big data from the end user big data, and also coming from the demand fulfillment on the supply side big data. So meaning the way we are trying to do for the client is actually whenever the brand join with us, then immediately the brand will have a control tower and also big data dashboard in the real time and very raw data, very detailed raw data. And then we can also provide the analysis and insight of the big data regarding of the behavior customer behavior data itself, as well as the supply behavior itself. So the service what we are trying to serve to the market is actually about from the end-to-end solutions services, from the consulting, technology development, digital marketing, but our core is actually the omni-channel itself. And then the last, in the demand fulfillment as an added value, we have also providing the services on the cross-border, warehouse fulfillment, as well as the delivery. So we have our own facility for this one, all around Indonesia. In the warehouse side, we have about 154 hub warehouse all around Indonesia, in the nationwide. So this one is actually about 154 fulfillment hub cities warehouse in Indonesia we have. And then this is some of our credentials client portfolio who has been already onboarding with us and then using our end-to-end solution, e-commerce omnichannel, and also the supply chain platform solution with us. So I think that's the sharing I can share with you for today. So I just would like also open the Q&A and also the discussion. I'm more than happy to answer whatever the question I can be helpful to answer about the market in Indonesia related to the e-commerce as well as related to the upcoming festive season. So I think Fanada and Damendra, I think I return back to you.
Thank you, Adit, for such lovely presentation, knowledgeable presentation. I think audience would have taken lots of things from this particular this presentation and the slides which you have shared, and it will be very helpful even for them who are planning to enter Indonesia market and how they can leverage the opportunities. So let's take some questions. Are you there?
Yes. Thank you so much, Hadi. We have several questions from the registrations. Hadi, if you can, cater to them. The first one is, so Powercommerce is an end-to-end e-commerce enabler, right? So people want to understand when is it the right time that they should move into, a player who will cater to an end-to-end business for them. Hello, am I audible, Hadi?
Sorry, Fadada, your voice is broke up. Can you repeat again?
Yeah, so
what's
I'm
the
saying
end-to-end?
I'm saying, Hadi, Powercommerce helps in end-to-end e-commerce management. So how
Yeah.
should a brand decide on when to outsource their e-commerce operations? Does it
Yeah.
depend on any product margins or marketing budgets, etc.?
Okay. So I think it's depend on the way of the strategic and the decision on the planning of the brand want to go and enter in the e-commerce market channel itself. So either we can start immediately about the using the end-to-end, which is that actually connecting and use all the channels like marketplace, website, reseller platform, offline connections, or we can start it with the marketplace. Mostly of the brand is starting from the marketplace. So why they are starting with the marketplace is actually because of the market of the e-commerce traction is actually being driven by the marketplace as of today. But somehow as a brand it's actually really difficult to maintain the loyalty and the loyalty programs, and also really difficult to get an insight of the customer behavior data and big data in very detail. So whenever for us is actually is always giving the recommendation. Marketplace is good to have a building the awareness, acquisition new customer, and doing the penetrations. But when you start coming to build the loyalty of the customer loyalty program in the long futures game of the customer engagement, then you have the brand has to build their own channel, which is that the website or social commerce, chat commerce, reseller platform, or also the all the channel being built by their own. So by having this both marketplace and also our own channel, so immediately in between tactical to acquire the new customer as well as the long game on the building the engagement customer loyalty can build all together. So how tactically then we can define it about the operational thing. Of course, it always depend on when we do start the marketplace, as I mentioned earlier. Mostly the typical Indonesian market is actually being driven by two things. One is actually discounting product, as well as the second one is actually the delivery cost itself. So in this particulars, what we have to trying to do in terms of the pricing strategy, of course, we have to be not only about the just discounting. Maybe we have to be also smart to do the bundling, to do the cross selling with the others. Then, but also the most important on how to be strategically to optimizing the ads within the marketplace itself. But immediately after we do the acquisition, then we have to bring it all the big data coming to our own channel, either bring it them to the website commerce or the social commerce. Then from that on, then we can immediately try to build the program of the loyalty program itself. So that's the thing I can share with you about what is the strategic of the brand to prepare. And then the last thing I just the next thing I would like to share with you in the Indonesia market, after the COVID situations happen in Indonesia, the social commerce and the chat commerce growing very significantly. So that's the new channel, a really big channel now is actually coming through the chat commerce and the social commerce, not only in the marketplace.
Related to this, we have one question in by one of our attendees. Like, Powercommerce is an omni-channel e-com management. So can Messenger, WhatsApp, Viber, WeChat type of ordering can also be incorporated?
Okay. For now, what we are built in our technology platform is not yet come to the WeChat things and etc. Our messengers and also chat can be only our technology can be able to provide through the messenger in the Facebook, and then we do have an API through the Instagram APIs and also the WhatsApp business. So that's three on the messenger and chat commerce itself platform in our technology ecosystem.
Thank you, Hadi. Vandana, there are a few more questions. If you can take one more question, then we can move to the next sessions.
Yes. Hadi, there's a question. Can you also support international B2C e-commerce, selling product from Indonesia directly to Southeast Asia consumers, for example?
Correct, correct. At the moment, Powercommerce has been already integrated with several big marketplaces in the Southeast Asia. So we are now integrating API to the Q10 in Singapore, and also Zilingo in Malaysia, and also we have also in the Buka Global, Bukalapak, and they have existing in the 6 countries in Southeast Asia. So we can also brought in and selling with using the retail e-commerce cross-border selling through that marketplace, and then being fulfilled from Jakarta. Yes, yes, definitely. But also we do also have a license to have help the brand who want to enter Indonesia market. Today we have working with several brands from India under one of the big group in India to enter Indonesia market. So we do as Powercommerce have a license as an importer record company, but also we do acting as a distributor and managing all the e-commerce to the international brand who want to enter Indonesia market.
Interesting. So all the people who are trying to move into Indonesian markets, Powercommerce can also help them as an importer on record, and handle the entire business in Indonesia for them.
Correct.
I think we'll just take the last question. Kanishan asked, how big is cross-border import market in Indonesia? I mean, we were talking about this. So, and how does this affect the local players?
Local POS.
Local players, existing players that are already there.
So local players in terms of what? Sorry, again.
Yeah. So the question is, how big is the cross-border, that is the import market in Indonesia? Somebody if wants to enter into the Indonesian market, how big is that market, and does that affect the local players that are in the market? I mean, it's very category dependent and depends on the demand of a particular category. But if you can give a highlight.
Okay. Just would like to highlight about like this one. E-commerce Indonesia market growing very significantly. But then Indonesia also having, as you aware, that Indonesia is not so much about as a production center countries, right? So why a lot of product coming from outside want to enter Indonesian market, right? That's one thing. But then today, after the new regulation of the de minimis regulation in Indonesia can only be applied maximum $3 for the import on the retail de minimis. So the strategic of the entering Indonesia market is cannot be anymore using about the de minimis or the retail cross-border services, but have to think also in the B2B cross-border importation solution. So that's one thing. But if I would like to share about the market size itself, of course everybody want to enter Indonesia market because the growth and then the size is really big for the market in the e-commerce. And then for the local players, I think, yes, we have a lot of local players but I think I would like to share you normally, they just only silo. The local player just only serving silo if they just want to serving about the custom clearance and etc. But what we are doing in the Powercommerce is actually really end-to-end. From the custom clearance, cross-border, e-commerce, distributorship, and even including the import of records facility as well.
Great. Thank you, Hadi. Thank you for this.
I just would like, there is one question as I can see in here, is that the technology of Powercommerce can be able to white label for the client? Yes, definitely. We are white labeling all the digital assets and building the digital asset for the client. And we do the white label of the technology for the client.
Great, thank you. So Hadi, what you can do in the Q&A section, there are a few more questions. So after this, you can just revert to those questions. And due to shortage of time, we'll move to the next sessions. And
thank you.
For the attendees, I'll say I will take up this question at the end of the sessions. So we're going to answer, so we try to answer all your queries which you have at the end of the sessions. Hadi will be again joining us. So you can ask your question directly also there. So thank you, Hadi. Thank you for this lovely session.
Thank you,
So much,
Dhamendra.
Hadi.
Thank you all. Thank
Looking
you,
forward to
Sananda.
meet you at the end of session and Q&A part.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you. So let's move to our next session, Vandana.
Yes, next we have Payo Asia with us. We have Oren and Alexander from Payo. Are you there, guys?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, Oren. Hi,
Oren.
Alex.
Hi, everyone.
So Oren is VP of Sales and Business Development at Payo Asia. And we have Alexander with us, who is the Chief Revenue Officer. Welcome, guys, and please request you to share your screen and take the session forward, give a little introduction, and please take this forward.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so thanks again, everyone, for the Unicommerce team for having us over here for this panel. So today we're going to discuss about the Philippine market and its potential, its e-commerce potential here in the Philippines. So just a bit about the market, the e-commerce market size here in the Philippines. So as you can see, it's grown close to a little less than 3% last year, and it's forecasted to grow 4 times 2025, especially now these days with the pandemic, because everybody's just not going to malls anymore. The Filipino consumer is usually a mall rat. They really want to hang out in malls and do their shopping mainly at malls. But now, due to the new normal, so to speak, everybody's stuck at home, and primarily everyone's doing most of their online their shopping online. In addition to that, also there's growing support also coming from the government even before the pandemic. Wherein the DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry, actually put together a roadmap for 2016 to 2020 to increase spending for e-commerce to be at least 25% of the GDP by then. So there's a lot of growing support from the government. There's a lot of consumers in the Philippines, a strong consumer base. And I also want to touch on is that the Philippines has a lot of remittances coming from overseas workers that they would remit to their families to the Philippines. So you also have to take that into consideration, wherein the Filipino has the money. There's a growing middle class that's coming that are tech-savvy millennials and love to spend online. So that's the potential of the Philippine market. Just to touch on the internet and e-commerce penetration rates in the Philippines. So we're talking about a population of 107, 108 million. We're in 76 million are internet users, right? From that, 70% are online shoppers, and those same internet users, 76 million are also social media users.
Yes. Yeah, putting on that, social media is basically, if you're not selling in the Philippines, social media is basically the internet in this market. Another interesting point on this is a funny study, I think it was from last year, but basically out of smartphone users, majority of shoppers are mobile in the Philippines. But an interesting study was in the Philippine market, out of smartphone users, something like 30% had never opened Google, but almost 100% are active on social media. Which means the social experience is really the internet, where they number one, yeah, obviously do the social things, communicate with friends, but where they get news updates, where they're consuming a lot of their content and spending most of their time online. So it is a super powerful channel to utilize in the market. Facebook, I think Facebook ads are really the go-to strategy when approaching the Philippines, right?
Yeah. To strengthen what Alex is saying, we're considered a Facebook nation, actually.
Yeah, I think something like globally, it's the highest penetration, highest engagement rates in the Philippines. It's really because I think the way the market's set up, with every smartphone you purchase, every SIM card load, that you buy, Facebook's preloaded. And actually at most of these sellers, they're actually creating a Facebook account for you over the counter. So it's really, really, I can't really emphasize enough how crucial social media, social selling, and even social for branding and communicating with buyers is.
Yep. So a bit of the challenges in entering a new market. By the way, I actually want to talk about, especially now in the Philippine market with this time of the year, which is what we call the Burr months. Burr months meaning the months that end with Burr, September, October, November, December, right? So this is the holiday season in the Philippines, and people start their holiday shopping during the Burr month, September. I can tell you my wife already, she's done with her Christmas list, and it's only October, right? So, and everyone's doing this online just to avoid also the lines at the malls. But, you know, so of course with the new normal, so people are even avoiding malls and just doing everything online. Yeah. Okay, so something you want to add?
Yeah, on the Burr months, it's kind of funny. If you go into the malls during during the Burr months, even in September, it's already Christmas. And in terms of volumes, what we see from our data and our merchants is typically the months of October, November, December. Most of our merchants are projecting at least double growth, double-digit growth in terms of sales and transactions on their e-commerce sites. Double-digit, right? That's kind of across the board. And the primary marketplaces in the Philippines, so this would be kind of Lazada, Shopee, and Zalora. They're big on the double month, 11/11. You might have heard these buzzwords, 11/11, 12/12. If you're in the Philippines, you definitely have. But on these crazy promo selling days, they are able to achieve something like 10x visits, daily users, and also transactions. So it's really, really prime time in the Philippines. But as you can imagine, and Oren's transitioning into this kind of increase comes with lots of challenges when you're selling on an archipelago with 7,000 plus islands, right? So go ahead, Oren.
Yeah, so some of the challenges, of course, of entering a new market, alone, new country, so, you need to, register locally, right? So you have to incorporate SEC, practically, register a company in the Philippines. So, and that comes with it's a long, arduous process here. You would have, need importation assistance just to get things, through customs. Philippines at the end of the day, still Philippines, just like, well, Philippines. I'm not going to compare. So it could be arduous as well. You would need storage, of course, to put in your stocks, your inventory, at a local warehouse. And the Philippines is a cash-based economy, simply because 86% of the Filipinos are unbanked still, and those that are, only 7% have credit cards, right? So in order to scale and appeal to the mass market in the Philippines, you have to offer cash and delivery. And when you offer cash and delivery, you have to work with courier companies, with local courier companies in the Philippines. You would need to work with multiple courier partners, not only because it's COD, but as Alex mentioned, archipelago, 7,100 islands. No one courier can cover the entire Philippines. So you would need to work with at least 2 to 3 just to make sure that you cover every single province here. Lack of transparency and billing. Just again, working with many couriers, everything is manual. So you would get Excel files of your billing, and you would need to reconcile these numbers to these reports. And think about it, if you're trying to scale, it's really not cost effective. And then there's complications with remittances. So firstly, courier companies are oftentimes delayed with the remittance. So even when the transaction is made and they already have the cash, it's still an issue in getting the actual cash deposited into your bank account. Now I'm talking about local online sellers in the Philippines who get their cash delayed. Imagine for international merchants where there's foreign exchange and need to be deposited abroad, which I don't believe existing courier companies offer that. You would need to register a company here, open a bank account here, and they can only remit it to your local bank account that you open here. So these are some of the challenges of entering a new and upcoming and exciting market that's actually considered untapped still by some regional players. So quite exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think these challenges are all true, and they're kind of experienced by anyone who's selling in the Philippines. But one thing about these challenges is they are increasingly difficult as you scale. I think everyone in e-commerce, they want to know, how can they make more money? How can they reach more buyers? All of these headaches become a bigger and bigger cost, or a manual process to deal with, especially when you're dealing with multiple of these guys. So I think in the next portion of this presentation, we'll really talk about what does Payo do, and how does our solution or our service kind of seek to mitigate or reduce, or at least make these challenges easier to bear and understand, right? I think quickly about Payo, what I would say is Payo is very simply put, we are a middleman for you sellers between, Oren, that might be your kid. All good. We're all working from home in the new normal, but we are basically a middleman. We are a tool, a tech tool that basically creates a barrier between your international business and your international local business and these multiple couriers. So our technology basically helps you manage these couriers and deal with these processes, which can be very arduous, as Oren said, and really give you the data and insights you need to really understand what's going on in the market. Okay, next slide. We're co-piloting, so Oren's running running the clicker. So what do we do? So if you're an international merchant, you don't actually have to go through the SAE and red tape to register a business. You can actually ship through us as a fulfillment service. We also can help you in terms of getting things into the Philippines. We have we are not an import-export company, but we have multiple strategic alliances with import companies with preferred rates that can make that process as simple and cheap and fast as possible. So we really are trying to be end-to-end in terms of, but one, launching, and number two, scaling your business. So we can definitely assist on the importation side and make sure that that's being done efficiently. Number three, right? If you're planning to scale your volumes and you don't want to deal with importation all the time, we actually have, this is actually a really interesting solution, but we're setting up basically warehouse and these fulfillment centers. We call them kind of our hubs in all of the key cities across the Philippines. These would be basically where your customers are. And if you guys are familiar with FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, this is essentially what Payo is trying to do. We will allow you, or you're able to store your products in our hubs. And basically what that allows you to do is to ship much faster. And in a cash-based economy where buyers are young and impulsive and maybe not super liquid, there is a direct correlation between delivery time and delivery success percentage. So the longer it takes for you to ship, the harder it's going to be to actually track down that buyer and ultimately collect that money and inject it back into your business. So our goal here is really, we already have 4 operating hubs in key cities, but we're basically building a chain which allows us to have a lot more control on delivery efficiency, speed, cost, etc. And our merchants actually, they can store in our warehouses at no cost. We don't charge storage fee. We have a performance model on fulfillment, which is basically per parcel. So it's just something that actually helps you manage and mitigate your scaling in the Philippines. Offer cash on delivery, yeah, we touched on this. Basically, if you only accept credit card, you're only touching 7% of your potential audience in the Philippines. And cash is still king in this market. Filipino buyers are slowly starting to get a lot more comfort with other methods, but ultimately what we can see is somewhere between 60 and 90% of our merchants' orders are through cash. And it's really just a buyer preference. They want to see the package first. They want that safety of, I've already paid, but I haven't actually received the package, especially in their experience. Sometimes when it takes a month or so to actually deliver something cash is just a safety net. One thing I wanted to touch on is with our warehouse and fulfillment solutions, we have great partners like our friends from Unicommerce. So you can actually track and monitor all of your inventory across all of our nationwide warehouses. So I think the goal here is obviously efficiency and transparency, right? Oren touched on this, you have to partner with multiple couriers, which if you want to sell in the Philippines and you want to sell nationwide, which is, I promise you a challenge because you're coordinating with basically 3 or 4 more traditional logistics and courier companies who might not have APIs that plug directly into your stores, and you'll be manually filtering stuff. But what you get actually when you work with Payo is we have a network of around 10 of the top couriers who fulfill for us. And what we basically, our proprietary technology on this is we have an algorithm which will pair your parcel based on location, based on your delivery SLA with the best performing courier for that package. And the goal here is obviously the speed of getting that package into the courier's hands. And for what we actually know during the bird months is with these double-digit growths in volumes, a lot of couriers in the Philippines have a hard time on their own fulfilling on time. So I think with Payo, one of the really unique things is you have one point of contact, but you have access to any courier that you would want to ship with directly. And we handle and we manage that courier in terms of the delivery statuses for your parcels. Yeah, so that's a really nice tool because you have one point of contact and you get access to the best couriers in the market. Next point is transparent billing. This is crucial. Sometimes when you do deliver in the Philippines, there are hidden logistics costs around RTS. There's hidden costs sometimes around how much the courier fees might be, depending on the province or how hard it is to reach that particular buyer. So we actually have a system now where all of our courier fees have been basically standardized, and we have best in market rates on courier fees. And that's the goal of that is being able to just project and predict your costs to sell, right? And these statements basically get sent out automatically weekly. And that the goal of there is just being obviously in scaling an e-commerce business, cash is important because you need to invest on marketing, you need to invest on bringing things in, you need to invest on all of these things. And so just being able to project and understand what's going on the billing end is crucial, I'm sure, as you guys understand. And the last part is remitting to you guys, making sure you're getting the money in full and on time, right? So we have multiple tools where we can basically standardize your remittances and make sure that this is happening on a regular basis, and you're getting basically paid for 100% of your successful deliveries. So 100% of the packages you send, we want to make sure that money is being ejected back into your pockets. Okay, I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, Oren, what sets us apart? Oh, we are adjusting, we're calibrating. Yeah, okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so pretty much you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, go on, continue.
Yeah, I guess this is a nice little summary slide on what happens when you work with us, right? I don't want to oversell here, but basically you get access to 10 couriers who can help you fulfill across all of the Philippines. You want to cover the market. With our hubs, we can actually offer same-day delivery in multiple major cities, which is unheard of, right? Actually, just background on the Philippines, right? A lot of the major local brands are based in Metro Manila, which is the biggest, most populous city in the Philippines. But if you want to ship a package to another region, say Cebu or the Visayas, maybe your lead time will be something like 7 to maybe 8, 10, 14 days before the first delivery attempt. But again, with our warehouses, you can actually go same day or next day in these other markets, right? And we kind of touched on how delivery time is crucial for cash on delivery success. On top of this, we have a dashboard. This is something nice to just manage your entire Philippine business. Instead of looking at a bunch of different websites, you can just deal with our dashboard and see all of your shipments, all of their statuses, all of the money to be collected, and all of the actual work we're doing on the background to make sure that these parcels are being delivered. Earlier remittance, we talked about this in the transparent billing, but we have a tool that basically can help inject money almost in real time back into your business. What ends up happening a lot of times in the cash on delivery market in the Philippines is after a successful delivery, it might take 2 to 4 weeks for you to actually receive that invoice or that statement, and it might not be in full. There might be holds on that. So we have a tool that basically weekly automatically remits you 100% of your successful deliveries. Obviously less the courier and delivery fees, right? Why is this great? This is basically Payo cash advancing your business for the packages that you've sent to your customers, so you can reinvest that and keep your liquidity, right? It's our job to actually go then to chase all of the different couriers and make sure we collect on our running tallies there. Flat courier fees, yeah, this is about transparency and helping you scale, right? If you can predict how much you're going to spend, it makes scaling much easier. 2 to 3 delivery attempts. With cash on delivery, a lot of times people will actually not be home when you first try and deliver. They might not have the money on them. There's a plethora of reasons really why a delivery might fail on cash on delivery. So actually what we do is we make sure that we ensure at least 2, for a lot of the areas, the main areas, we do 3 delivery attempts. And this just helps to increase your delivery rate, right? We don't give up after there's 1 delivery. We will get in there and speak to the customer. And this kind of folds into the next point. We have our own customer service team who basically act as call center agents to support your deliveries. We communicate directly to the buyers to troubleshoot. If the rider cannot find the location because they're in a far off province, we're going to communicate and figure out and speak to the couriers to make sure that package gets to the buyer, to your customer. And also troubleshooting, maybe it's kind of like a sales support almost, because there might be some impulsive or guilt buying going on, especially during the Christmas season. So we want to troubleshoot that as much as possible and save those sales where possible. And the last point, I really love this point because our warehousing solution really should alleviate a lot of the challenges in really scaling and delivering across the Philippines. Speed, efficiency, and control in these other regions is super crucial. Yeah, I think that really does summarize it, right? Again, to just maybe wrap that up we're going to basically help with 2 things. Number 1, managing your last mile fulfillment, right? With multiple couriers, with a dashboard where you can see everything. And number 2, it's making sure that your business is staying liquid and you're getting remitted your money on time. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And just to summarize again, Philippines, fantastic market. It's untapped, it's big, and it's just growing. It does come with challenges, but fear not, because we're here to help you out navigate those challenges.
It's also a young and tech-savvy market, right? The average age is somewhere in the early 20s, I think 24, 25. So these people are, tech first. They grew up with social media, and I think on Oren's point about COVID, the new normal has actually just kind of forced people to really get in the behavior of buying online, considering and shopping online, researching brands and products online. Because frankly, when Manila was locked down on March 16th, everything was closed for 2 months. So things like necessities became even things people bought online. And obviously this trend has just pushed the entire market forward toward digital, towards adoption on both the user and the merchant end. So
that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Oren and Alex, for the lovely session.
This was great. I think Philippines for us also has been like crazy. I mean, we didn't expect this much of growth in such small amount of time for the Philippines market. You know, I mean, when I started researching about the Philippines market, it was like, okay, it's like what we were, I mean, in India, like 2012 or 2013. But when I'm getting into it, I'm starting to see that, you know, these new technology are coming up so soon with, you know, even that, you know, e-commerce started late or internet penetration, you know, started happening a little late, but, you know, the technology providers are taking up so much of space and optimizing the entire supply chain and e-commerce market so fast. It was great to know and understand more from you guys. I have a few questions from our registrants, if you could take up. So one of the person had said that, you know, on what basis should one choose a logistics aggregator? You know, if a brand is self-sufficient and, I mean, has a sufficient scale already, what benefits does one get by tying up with a logistics aggregator? So any of you would like to take this question?
Well, yeah, I guess first the brand would need to identify what would be the pain points, right, that they're currently experiencing. If they are able to manage their own couriers, then perhaps it's in the customer service. You know, do they have a big enough customer service team to manage all the inbound calls, inquiries with regards to the delivery status, right? So that would be one. The other one would be perhaps, you know, with remittances, right? So how are things with their collections of the COD collections, right? Is it, you know, working seamlessly, or, you know, as we mentioned, courier companies are oftentimes delayed here. So we would have a solution for that. So I guess they would need to identify really if there's a specific pain point that they would want to address, and does that aggregator have the capacity to address the pain point?
Right. Okay. Interesting. Jesha has an interesting question in the Q&A box. He says that in the Philippines market, because it's a cash-based market, how did you manage it during the pandemic?
yeah.
Good question.
So yeah, actually, so again, you know, we're like a aggregator, so to speak. So we don't have actual couriers under us. We work with courier partners. So needless to say, our courier partners, you know, had to put strict measures to ensure that, you know, the spread, to prevent the spread of, you know, the virus, right? So they were pretty much working on a skeletal workforce. They had to make sure that everybody, you know, wore masks and alcohol, and yeah, they had to put some measures just to make sure that everybody's safe. Of course, safety is paramount before anything else, right? So yeah, there was a bit of a slowdown. There was a bit of a dip, I have to say, and we had to pivot. So for our end, all our courier partners, by the way, during the ECQ stopped all activity first. You know, the first 2 months, there was no movement, but there was a sudden growing need for emergent products like alcohol, face masks, and so what happened is that we ended up, developing our same-day delivery service, which is the point-to-point, which is using the Grabs, the Lala Moves, right? And partnering with these couriers, wherein we would partner with these merchants, and they would pick up from these merchants and deliver it to the different customers. So a lot of online groceries came up to us looking for that solution, because imagine, you know, the Grab and Lala Move, it's an app, right? So if you're a merchant, to book 60 to 100 riders in one day, it's not scalable. It's tough. And then on top of that, you have to coordinate, you know, is the person at home? Why is the person not home? Communicate with the rider. So we developed that. So we pretty much became like a control tower, managing the couriers for our online merchants during this ECQ. During those two, pretty much April, May, June, until it became GCQ here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
That must be.
And then it was very tough, but
venture.
I think lots of learnings is my short answer. We learned a lot, and we're able to actually do some new things, which actually help our merchants further and adapt to the climate. Because everyone is, I think at this point, it was a survival mode for merchants and businesses and consumers, right? I think Lazada and Shopee in a very short time launched their own malls, which were basically selling and shipping PPE and some of these grocery products because things were closed and it was very, very challenging. The lockdown was strict. You could not go out. There was something like they would give you 1 pass per household and you could not go out of the house there was a curfew, right? So again, the need for door-to-door service for the things that you need in your home to stay safe, to feed your family, etc. So yeah, I think it was great that we worked on that, and we're seeing a lot more usage of that too from our merchants and the market.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex and Oren, for joining. In the interest of time, we'll take more questions at the end with the networking session. We'll have to move to the other session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oren. Thank you, Alex. Looking forward to meet you again at the Q&A session.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye.
So let's move to our next session, Vandana.
Yes, definitely.
And I request attendees to keep posting their questions in Q&A sessions and be there till end of the session. So we're going to open the forum at the end of sessions where you can have a live Q&A session with our speakers. So do remain with us.
So next we have Sellerapp with us. We have Sunitha Sundaran, who's the customer success manager at Sellerapp. Sunitha, do we have you with us here?
Hi Vandana, how are you? How's everybody?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for joining in. Sunitha, great to have you here. If you could just maybe share your screen, give a little introduction and take up the session.
Absolutely, I'd love to. Let me quickly share my screen. So we will be talking about how you could boost sales in Q4. So everything is getting online. Amazon is one of the kings of product searches. So anybody who is looking to build a brand on digitally, wants to be viewed digitally, wants to make brand visibility, wants to improve their business, they have to be on Amazon. Most of the people search on Amazon. Close to 60% of people buy on Amazon, look at things on Amazon, and then possibly make a choice to even purchase elsewhere if that's required. So that's what we'll be talking about. We'll be looking at how you could boost sales on Amazon in Q4. What the advantages of selling on Amazon? How could you actually make that possible? So to get started, let me introduce myself. So I'm Sunitha Sundaran. I am a customer success manager at Sellerapp. So what I do here at Sellerapp and what are my expert areas is that I help customers with building brand visibility, how they could increase their sales, what are the advertising strategies they could use if they are starting off on Amazon, if they are a brand that's just trying to launch their product on Amazon, if they're a huge brand, they have some visibility, they have to increase their sales, they have to increase their profits. In that case, how would they do that? What the strategies they would need to employ? So that's what I do here at Sellerapp, along with my team of experts. So throughout the years I've been with Sellerapp, I've been able to help thousands of brands and thousands of sellers build a very successful brand on Amazon. So what is different in e-commerce right now is that everybody is moving online. Given that pandemic is spreading, there are a lot of new things that are trending with how people are buying. There's a lot of change in consumer behavior itself. So compared to 2019 versus 2020 and 2021 and 22, there's going to be a lot of changes in how people are purchasing with online. Digital purchases, digital shopping has increased tremendously even without the pandemic. And with this, it's gotten a huge boost. And Amazon has led the product search source quite high from Google, and it's increased to 63% by June 2020, and it is ever increasing. So anybody who has to build a brand, who wants to have a brand that's visible to people, as much as possible, trying to build a good source of income while they are bringing in people to their brand, needs to be on Amazon. Along with this, the e-retail revenues are projected to grow, and by 2022 it's expected to hit close to 6.54 trillion, which is quite a huge sum. There is certain things that makes Amazon the king of e-commerce, the king of e-selling. With that, Amazon is growing not just year on year, but also quarter to quarter. So Q1 to Q4, 2029 to 2020, there's been tremendous change. So it was at 59.7%, $59.7 billion in Q1 2019, whereas in 2020, it grew up to $75 billion. That's a 26% growth. And in Q3, it's expected to grow much higher than how much it has been in 2019. It was close to $70 billion in 2019, and it's expected to grow close to $93 billion. So that's a huge growth that you can't, that is projected. The official numbers are not yet out, but this is the projected growth. And Q4 2014 has always been, Q4 2020 is something that's expected to be quite huge. In 2019, it was $87 billion. That's even, that is already beaten in Q2. So you can only expect how Q4 is going to be in 2020. So if you're already on Amazon, then this is the right time for you to be building your right strategies, trying to make the right moves and trying to build your revenue. If you're not yet on Amazon and you are considering, most people who are running a successful business off Amazon always have this question: should I start selling on Amazon? If I do, would it take a hit on my revenue? Would it take a hit on my profitability? So if you have those questions in mind and you are waiting for the right start, the right time to launch a business, then Q4 is the time. This is the time when you have to actually get into selling on Amazon, because this provides you with the right opportunities. There's Cyber Monday, there's Black Friday, then early December. All of this put together, Q4 is the time when almost all of the sellers make 80% of the revenue they made throughout the year. So if you're contemplating, then this is the time for you to start off. So what we'll be talking next is we'll be looking at specific strategies that makes Amazon different from the rest of the e-commerce marketplaces, and what are the things that you could do to stand apart. So Amazon is a search engine, just like Google, how you type in something and there are results that pop up. On Amazon, it is the same thing. So people go on Amazon. If you think about it, it's not that complicated. When you think about how you would shop on your everyday life, you just go onto Amazon, type in something, look to the first page, you find your product, possibly you'd click in it. You don't find it, maybe you would go on the second page. If you still don't find the product, what you do is automatically change what you would have searched. You wouldn't go to the third or the fourth page to look at if there are products that could match my search, if that could actually be my product. But instead, what you might do would be to alter your search again and look at the different words that might probably describe your product better. So keywords are what people use, what could give seller a boost to rank well on Amazon. So visibility is what matters on search engines like Amazon, and Amazon's algorithms are quite smart. So they match the products the rankings are put based on the keywords that you use on the listing on the product detail page, the keywords that have converted for you earlier, the historical conversions that you have for your product, all of this matters. So while you are launching an Amazon business, while you are trying to optimize how to make it better, it's very important to look at what are the keywords that are there within your product listing. What are the ones that you want to focus on? What are the ones that you might want to give the top priority as compared to the others? So along with putting the right keywords, it's also important to look at what sort of keywords might benefit well as compared to the others. So some products, some markets are extremely competitive, and there are brands that are quite huge. So let's take a very simple example. If you were to sell running shoes, there's Nike, there's Adidas, possibly somebody who's launching a brand today or even has a good grip in the market but doesn't own the best market share will definitely not have enough budget to put in and rank better in terms of advertisements or even in terms of investing for organic visibility. So in that case, it becomes very critical as to what sort of keywords you would choose to put within your listings. What are the keywords you would want to prioritize? So there are different sets of keywords that you can look at. Keywords that are one-worded phrases. So these are usually keywords that have the highest rank, highest search volume. So for example, shoes, or possibly men's shoes, women's shoes. So these words describe the product. They could have high search volume, but in the case of how many people would compete for that word, the competition is going to be quite high, which makes it difficult to rank. And at the same time, if you're trying to run advertisements for the keyword, it could start to become very costly. It starts taking a hit on how much you spend on Amazon versus how much you're making. So it's important to look at what keywords could be longer, have possibly lower search volume, but in terms of conversion rate, they are better, and the competition also reduces. So descriptive phrases or possibly long tail keywords are what helps rank faster, rank easily with lesser competition. And this is one great SEO tactic that's worked with most of the Amazon sellers who've been trying to rank. Given if you are trying to optimize a product right now, there's a lot that you need to think of in terms of how you would compete against the existing products in the market, possibly brands that have been there in the market for quite some time. How would you go across them? How would you stand better than them? In that case, what you do is look at these low volume, possibly low volume keywords, but because they have good conversion rate, instead of focusing on the high volume keywords which could have higher search volume but lower conversion rate, focusing on these long tail keywords always helps in terms of ranking on SEO. So this is one great tip that works. So on Amazon, it's all about how visible you are to the customer. So most of the times they might know your brand, but if there's somebody else who is advertising against your own brand name, which happens most of the cases, you lose sales. So product positioning, whether it is organically ranking on top or advertising, always plays a very important role in how visible your brand is or how visible your product is. If you have multiple different product lines, you could be selling herbal tea, you could be selling green tea. So all of these are different products. Some brands might own the market share much better than you, whereas you own in certain cases. So even if your brand name is quite visible, it is important for you to improve the product position, even with the help of advertisements. So organic SEO and PPC advertisements go hand in hand in a way. So putting the product out in front when somebody is looking to buy products is what makes the huge difference. And it's been observed that there's a connection between how organic rankings improve with the product positioning that is done by advertisements. So when you have a product that's possibly ranking on page 5, you're running advertisements for it. You are ranking on page 1. In that case, maybe people click in your product, they buy your product. So you can slowly see that the organically ranking product that's in page 5 starts to climb up in terms of ranking organically. That's because Amazon's algorithms understand that this is a product that's converting. So it might be better to place it much higher in the search rank. So more organic traffic comes through better positioning. For better positioning, you might want advertisements. For advertisements to start receiving impressions, you will still want to have good Amazon's algorithms to understand that your product converts. If not, you might have trouble getting impressions as well. So it's sort of a circle that goes through. And the next thing that becomes important is Amazon's BSR. So BSR is a way how Amazon ranks products. So if there are thousands of products there are millions of products on Amazon. So how Amazon understands that a product does better than the others, and how consumers know that this is a product that does better. And this is what it uses to rank products for keywords as well. So the BSR improves the organic ranking. And once your organic ranking is better, the BSR also tends to go better. So all of this is sort of a circle. The advertisements, organic ranking, BSR, all of this go hand in hand for you to get better sales. Once you get better sales, it lowers your cost, you have better profits, you could have improved ad positions, and then again, it falls back into the same circle. You have increased sales and then you have better ranking. So it is important to look at improving the product positioning, improving where your products are getting placed, which means that tracking the keywords both organically and also looking at the placement of where your advertisements are becomes very important. So while you're running advertisements, beyond a point in time, it becomes very tricky. You're running advertisements for possibly 5 to 10 products, or even if you're running advertisement for one of your products, as the campaigns start to grow, as the number of keywords that you are inputting within your campaigns start to grow, it becomes tougher and challenging to improve them and optimize them. So while you are starting advertisements, if you're already running advertisements, it's a very good time for you to relook into how you could optimize them in terms of the structure and in terms of the placement. So structure becomes very important to grow them further. So if you have a very haphazard structure, you have put certain products, you have grouped together certain products for a particular goal. Let's say for summer, for when schools just started opening, there were certain products that could have definitely started selling. So you'd have bundled up most of their products, the campaign started picking up. So you just leave it as is, but beyond a point, you can't scale it further. So what you always have to do is to look at campaign structure in a way that is always goal optimized. So you need to understand what is the goal of a particular campaign. Rather than putting a product or grouping together multiple products and putting them together, you might want to look at what is the goal of the campaign. So if you are running the campaign for visibility, you want to get more people to know your brand name, you want to get more visitors to your product, then you should look at certain data points. So it could be the number of people who are looking at your advertisement, the number of impressions you get, the number of new to brand sales. So NTB is a data metric that Amazon provides. If you have brand registry on Amazon and you can run brand ads, where you can look at how many new people came to your brand and who bought your product. So that number helps you understand how visible your ads have been. So most of the times, at least 90% of sellers whom I've interacted with always look at sales and orders as the most important metric for any campaign. So if they're making sales, it means that the campaign is successful. But most of the cases, it might not be the case. If you're launching a new product, you would want to look at if your product is actually getting visibility, if your brand is being recognized by people. So another possible goal could be growth. So in that case, the click-through rate and the conversion rate becomes important. So it's not just impressions that matter in that case. How many people are coming on the product detail page from the search results. So once somebody types in something, there are possibly 20, 25 products that come up on different rows and columns. From there, if you've got an impression, how many people actually visit the product listing? So that you can understand with the help of the click-through rate. Once that's done, you need to understand, you might want to look at what is the conversion rate. How many people, once they visit the product page, are actually buying the product? So that helps you understand if the campaign is working the way it had to work. So while you're structuring your campaigns, it's important to group together products that have to be launched, products that have growth, so products that needs to work towards profit. So profits are products that are doing fairly well in the market. You can start improving your margins. If you're making 15% margin, you need to start looking at how you can make 20% margin. So based on this, even if there are products that have been launched possibly 6 to 7 months back, it could still fall into the bucket of launch just because the number of visits to that product detail page is not enough to group it into the growth structure. So in that case, the first thing would be to structure the campaigns right, set these goals based on where each product would fall into, and then launch the campaigns, look at the metrics. In that case, you will understand if the campaigns are working successfully or not. So that's something that makes a huge difference once you start running campaigns, and once you start measuring how much the campaigns is working, you will be able to look at what are the things that you missed and what are the things that actually worked. With this, Amazon has been launching quite many new ads. Amazon had brand ads, the headline search ads, the ads that you see on the top when someone searches for something. So that helps you build brand awareness, build recognition. The newer one that's launched, the newer advertising availability that's there is Amazon's DSP, which lets brands that are even outside of Amazon run advertisements through Amazon and also at external websites. If somebody visits your product listing on Amazon, they might want to buy your product. So once they visit other websites, the advertisements start popping up on those sites, which could bring back customers. It's a way of building brand awareness. So brand recognition starts building up. Once that's done, you will be you can see close to 20 to 23% of increase within the first 3 months of launching the brand advertisement. So video ads are again a new addition that was done close to 6 to 7 months now. Close to 80% of people who've been using video ads have had very huge success, and the conversion rate with these advertisements have been quite well compared to the other ad types that have been existing on Amazon. So if you are a brand who has been running possibly sponsored product ads, sponsored brand ads for quite some time now, then I'd suggest looking at DSP ads and video ads, which might require some additional thought on how to place your product, how to market your product. But once you figure these out, those are advertising formats that will help you much better in terms of what is the conversion rate that you currently have, how much it could grow, and what is the possibility, what is the potential that you could tap onto, what are the new markets or new niches that your existing products could even tap into. So with this, I give you an introduction of what Sellerapp does and what we do on a day-to-day basis for all the people who don't know about Sellerapp and have heard about Sellerapp for the first time. So Sellerapp basically has 2 types of services. The first is the consulting, where we have managed services where we manage advertisements, optimize the listing, do keyword tracking, give insights for your products, audit do quarterly audits for your products, A+ content, and there's also additional services that's provided via partners for brand protection, ungating, etc. And along with this, growth consulting always comes with talking to an expert. If it's SEO, there's an SEO expert who talks to you. There's an advertising expert. You can have one-on-one consultations. The second type of service is the Sellerapp platform itself, which has multiple functionalities, including product intelligence. There's various forms of reports, including buy box reports, category reports, subcategory reports. So this becomes critical if you are trying to increase your market share, if you're trying to launch in a new niche. And there are also actionable insights, monitoring and alerting, search optimization. There's also a very smart advertising management, advertising automation, and sales dashboard on Sellerapp. So if you have had any questions selling on Amazon that's even external to or beyond the discussion we've had today, you can always drop us an email at sales@sellerapp.com, or you can personally reach out to me as well. I think we've had some questions and we can go through the Q&A now.
Thank you so much, Sunitha. It was a great session, very insightful. In the interest of time, I think we'll take one question. One of the things that a lot of people have seen is that since the advent of COVID-19, customer shopping behavior witnessed significant changes, right? So
Right.
among these changes, which do you think will stick within customers post-COVID, in keeping in mind Amazon.com? If you could focus on that particular thing.
So if you think of it very practically, one of the things that's impacted very much with COVID is that people are looking towards faster delivery. People are trying to find new products. Once they've been spending more times with their mobile phones, and they've been looking at buying online. So there's a lot of new brands that have picked up quite a lot. Everybody wants everything fast. So faster shipments have the time duration with how people are shipping now has increased so much. Along with that, the number of people who are purchasing online has tremendously gone up. Once people are definitely used to, once people get used to buying things online with the ease of, buying today and they get it tomorrow or possibly even the same evening, they would definitely not want to go back to going to a brick and mortar store, spending half an hour trying to find the right product. And the good thing about buying online has always been you can send it back. Most of the times, platforms like Amazon does it free of cost, replacing your product. It's the first thing that they look to do, even without asking any questions. So the number of people who would continue to purchase online, the projected numbers are quite huge, and it's only expected to grow. So this is something that's a very great news to sellers, to start selling online.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you, Sunitha. I think seller who are selling on Amazon or planning to sell on Amazon would have taken lots of key takeaway what they have to do to get maximum sales from the Amazons. So I hope their sales is going to increase now, or they can reach to you and you can help them to guide them in terms of doing don'ts and do's while going on selling on Amazon. So it's
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing such an insightful presentation with us.
Thank you, Sunitha. Hope to
Thank
see
you,
you
Sunitha.
in the networking session where we'll have more questions with the audience. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Looking forward to meet you at Q&A session.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. So Vandana, let's move to our next session.
Yeah. So next we have with us Valuefirst. We have Abhishek Singh, who's the Vice President at Valuefirst. Abhishek, do we have with you? Do we have you with you here?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, Abhishek. How are you?
Good.
Amazing. Abhishek, it'll be great if you could just give a little introduction, share your screen, and take up the session forward.
Yeah, sure. Let me give a quick introduction before I share my screen. And I do realize that for the audience, it's already too heavy because I've been part of this event today for the whole time just to step into the shoe of an audience and understand what they would be going through. So too much of information and process is difficult, but there's too much to grab also. So good work by all the speakers until now. But I would like to just balance it out. A quick introduction to me is that I work with Valuefirst, take care of their Southeast Asia market. And Valuefirst I'm going to introduce during my conversation, so I'm just skipping that part. But I want to give at least a 30-second break to all our audience to just grab their head and feel calm. So meanwhile, I'll just quickly try and share my screen because even that would be a challenge for me. Let me just do that first.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just take our audience to a quick video. It's just a few second video, but will release a bit of a pressure and would help me to introduce Valuefirst better. And then I'll move to my presentation. Does this work?
Conversations. Every conversation around us creates a relationship. These conversations can be exciting, or sometimes they can be disappointing. Sometimes they are two-way, and sometimes they are just announcements. Conversations aren't complicated. We just need a friend to help us navigate through them. This is why Valuefirst exists. We help businesses to do conversations with their customers. Conversations that are simple, intelligent, magical, flexible, personal, and even funny at times. Just like your BFF, but more close and more personal. This is Valuefirst.
All right, so I'll just quickly get onto my screen of my presentation. I hope I have been able to give a bit of a overview of what Valuefirst is through this video. And as a marketer, we should use all our collateral. So I've used it too. Just a moment. All right. All right, Dharmen, can you confirm? Can you see my screen now? Can anyone confirm?
Yeah, yes, we can see you.
Great. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. And I hope everyone would have got a bit of a break. So let's start again. And I'll keep it very lighter, higher level, and more close to non-tech and conceptual level. And just a bit about Valuefirst, because we had a great 17-year journey. So just want to put some emphasis on how our journey has been and what we have been doing all throughout this. So we started way back in 2003 when basically digital communication started, and they started basically, if anyone remember, through SMS, and we really had to evangelize the market to know how SMS can be used to communicate at scale. And then onwards, then we have been kept developing ourselves, building new platforms to solve this need of enterprise communication. While I say enterprise communication, Valuefirst has always dealt with, I would say, if I have to categorize myself, it's more to a BTL activities than to an ATL activities, because we try and connect, engage, and retain the customers. So we are not a typical CRM company, but we are a company which helps a CRM company to communicate. To say the least, like all our great teams have been working all throughout these years to gather some of the largest of the brands across the globe. So as we speak today, we have around 4,000 customers, and whenever we think of a large customer and we see in our books, we find them. But now there's another quest to get into a next level of penetration with an SMB and all, and with the newer products. So like I said, this journey has really helped us all throughout to reach out to all customers and build solutions which really matters to them. And most of our growth or development or the product development has been in response to the client's requirement. So I can't really claim like Google that we are building a kick-ass product which is going to solve the world's problem. We normally look at our customers and try to solve their problem, and we are very focused in that. as far as the number of solutions which we have, it can be categorized into 6 different solutions. One being our SMS APIs, which we provide to some of the largest e-commerce, logistic companies, etc., to keep their customers posted on the update, including banks. Then we have built a platform called as Servo, which is a AI-driven conversational platform solving the need of an enterprise to create a conversations between. So like you guys might have seen in my recent video which I floated and you guys saw, we are trying to build a platform which can help our enterprise to conversate better with their customers. So Servo is part of that. Servo is a chatbot platform where a lot of conversation using OTT as a front end can be created. Then we have an automation suite where we basically provide an enterprise an ability to build conversations and automate those conversations at scale without writing a single line of code. And this really helps them to have a good speed for go to market of all campaigns and kind of build them and scale them and kind of quantify them too with the CDP capabilities of understanding each customer and doing hyper segmentation. Beyond that, during our journey, we acquired a lot of companies. So email is one of our subsidiary and now part of Valuefirst Octane.in, and that's an email company, and we have built that channel inside us, along with voice and engagement solutions, which we will talk about further. The way I have kept this presentation is very simple. Now I think I have briefly introduced Valuefirst, so enough of Valuefirst. Now we will try and build a case where we will understand how we solve the need of a brand and how different products within our portfolio does solve the actual need on ground. And those needs I have kind of qualified in 4 different buckets. So any brand we look at, and since we deal with direct communication with customer, would have any of these 4 needs. Like one need is to connect all their users, because users can be online, offline, and today when we talk about e-commerce, it does not only relevant to Amazon or anyone. Even a smaller brands now have an omni-channel approach where e-commerce is a no-brainer. Like that's become a basic necessity even to launch a product. So connecting to the right users, connecting to all the users, whether they are online, offline, is a basic necessity of a brand, and we do solve it through our platforms. Then engaging that user which you have acquired into your system is another next level lead. And once you engage a user, activating that user in a true sense. Your activation definition could differ from business to business. So for example, for a Nestle, the activation definition would be that mom will buy a baby care product and it will be called as an activation, whereas a user of a Netflix, the activation would mean that he will at least subscribe for the promo and he will use the promo and then get onboarded into the system as a customer. And automate is basically how, when you do all these activities, they happen on scale. They are not really small. The marketing is such a complex function today with a limited hands around. It's very important to automate everything and make it run without any human interference. So coming down to connect, the way we help businesses to connect with their consumers is, of course, that we have built these different platforms and we kind of choose front end to be routed through this platform and create the journey of connect. So for example, the biggest and the recent example and the most prominent one which I would cite is WhatsApp for Business, that how beautifully a lot of businesses are using WhatsApp for Business to get their consumers onboarded into their system. And we will study. So just after I explain this, I would like to walk you through a small case study where we helped a brand to actually gather a lot of consumer and solve a very different need of communication, which was otherwise impossible without using technology and only on the basis of a creative. So WhatsApp being the largest channel across the world for one-on-one communication today, it's a great channel. And to connect with the user, you have to strategize and have to have an automation behind. So we use Servo to automate a lot of brands communication and further engage these users and onboard these users. SendSmart is our SMS platform, which helps. So even today, the SMS is very, very relevant. And this will be quite evident in my case study, that how beautifully an SMS can also be used to build a very important component of an entire consumer conversation journey. And since we have been a primary SMS driven company for a very, very long period of time, we haven't seen dip in the volumes of SMS used by enterprise, which proves the fact that SMS is pretty much relevant even today as far as the communication is concerned. And it looks very basic, but it has certain advantages which can be used, if properly used, can be real good for your all campaigns and how they run. And the email. So coming to the engagement part, like explained, we have a automation layer called Augmento, which can be compared to any large automation platform available across the world. And this basically helps you to get the data from different systems, segment that data, and further plan communications to the data. Since the communication channels are also owned by ValueFirst, the job becomes little easy than compared to some of our competitors in the market, because when you buy a product, then you have to go for channels, etc. Whereas in our system, we have been doing channels for long, so it was a very natural integration for us. Then is Servo, which also connects with Augmento, and I would give some examples as to how it solves the problem. And our Mod Agile, which is a unique feature in our email platform, where we can actually render the content basis the user who is opening that content. Activation, basically, like I explained, for each organization, activation can be a definition can be different. For a Unilever, the activation could be just collecting the PII data and getting the user into the role. For a loyalty management company also, the activation would mean that someone enrolls for the loyalty, and for a product company it could be. So we help through our systems communicate and activate the user, and then further automate the user. So I'll just skip this and get to a very hot topic on ground, and which I feel that doing this topic, I would be able to contribute to the entire event, because a lot have been spoken about e-commerce and how to build e-commerce, how to scale, how to do innovative marketing, what are the hacks to kind of get the growth or to compete, etc. But there's a new sibling which is born with e-commerce. It's called conversational commerce, which is now taking a shape. I think brands are taking baby steps with this technology and with this concept, and it has not really scaled large, but the kind of potential it offers for a brand to scale and the kind of problem it solves, it really would matter a lot. And soon this sibling will become a major, like it happened for e-commerce, while our brick and mortar stores used to control the most of the transactions. And then eventually, if you look at developed market like US, now e-commerce is taking the lead. In a similar manner, we also vision that conversational commerce will take a leap. And of course, with this pandemic situation, which is very unfortunate, things have moved really faster in this direction. A few of examples which I will take during our conversation further, and would try to explain you how it's going on. For the conversational commerce angle, if we have to understand this as to what it is for brands, companies, and e-commerce company per se, it's basically nothing but a channel to conversate, sell, engage a user, right? And the users are available on OTT channels. So if we combine three large platforms like Facebook Messenger, Line, and WhatsApp, put together, there are about 3.3 billion users out of roughly about 8 billion people in this world. So anyone and everyone who has a smartphone has one or the other or many conversational channels, especially OTT channel among these three. Just to understand this number and how this digital ecosystem is growing is, and how brands are taking this up in terms of evolving themselves to be ahead in a conversational commerce angle, because that's really the opportunity today. What brands are doing is they're combining all their digital ecosystem and driving their consumers towards a subscriber base or a opt-in base on these channels. Because if you really get to a consumer on this channel, very simply put example, that at home I normally order my drinking water. So in Indonesia, everyone orders a mineral water bottle. That's a big bottle. And everyone uses WhatsApp and the nearest retailer to send him a message and get the thing upstairs in the apartment. It's very simple to do, right? Imagine a situation when you're transacting with the brand and the brand lies in your WhatsApp as a contact, right? And when a brand lies as a contact, the first reflex of today to find something is our WhatsApp instead of a Google, right? You really don't Google anything. If there's something specific you want to know about a place, etc., you just go to your WhatsApp, search a person who has gone there, or you know that person knows about it, and you chat. So chat has become a very, I would say, default way of human search for something. And if you are available on the chat as a contact, that's a definitive advantage. And how you can actually evolve your current ecosystem to merge into your conversational commerce part is the real key to potentially increase your base there, and that base would mean the conversion, right? Just to talk about a bit of a number around this, I'm sorry I'm throwing numbers again, and it might not be very decent approach in terms of contextual communication here, but these numbers would be quite useful to understand. So there are about 20 billion conversations happening every month between the brands and the consumer on Facebook Messenger, and about this, and this data is quite it's dated now. It's like 6-month-old data, but at that point in time, there were 300,000 messenger bots which were live on Facebook Messenger and which were conversating with the consumer for various conversational journeys. It could be around support, it could be around engagement, marketing, it could be around purchase, e-commerce, etc. This is one of the example of one of the brands in India, Fasos, where they are actually, what I was mentioning previously, that now the brands have realized to go closer to their customer, and the closest digital way they can go to their customer is to get into their WhatsApp list, right? And this is how or a messenger list where they conversate more. And that's how the brands are doing. They're using their digital properties today, and every point in time they're taking an opportunity to say to a user that why don't you just ask this thing on chat, because the moment you onboard them on chat, it's a great opportunity to further engage. A good example by Fasos, where you can actually send your order details in a messenger. Locally, if I have to give you an example, I think Tokopedia tried it for some time, where you can track your order through WhatsApp, and so on and so forth. You can actually, a lot of digital properties for any brand are lying across, and then one has to think through what are the ways to kind of now merge those properties into one channel. I'll skip this though because it will be too heavy. Let's come to the most exciting platform, which is WhatsApp. And in particular for Indonesia, the WhatsApp is the most exciting channel, and we have been lucky enough to enter the market at the right time. And today we power almost 100 brands on WhatsApp in Indonesia. And with that, we get a lot of learnings, which we also apply to other implementation, which we will do in future and which we have already done and we want to improvise. To say the least, today, out of roughly around less than a 300 million population in Indonesia, the published number is 265, but that's quite an old number. 150 million are internet users, and 83% of them use WhatsApp as their communication channel, as a primary channel, which may, and out of them, 50% of them open their WhatsApp daily. So it has become like a very, very interesting channel, and a lot can be done. So a lot of people have ever mentioned during our discussion with the industry that WhatsApp looks very plain. WhatsApp as an OTT channel is not very comparable to a web, because in web you can have multiple ways of reflecting a product, reflecting an option, click to action, etc. And WhatsApp looks very plain. But one thing I always counter in these arguments are that we as human, whatever we are familiar with, we like to do things that way, irrespective how great they are. Like if I have a habit of doing something some way, then that habit makes it easy for me, not really how it looks. So WhatsApp is really easy, and that's what we use, understand out of the usage which is coming out of all these implementations. One more very interesting example of Ponds Indonesia, which I would like to make a small mention here. This was a chatbot implemented for Unilever by us and some of other channels too. And in this, this is a great example of creating an engagement with the user with an interest, understanding the right interest of the user pertaining to that brand. So Ponds did this fantastic implementation across the world, and with Indonesia, we were helping them to do that. And they did a very interesting launch of Ponds Indonesia bot, which was a skin analysis bot. So moment you start interacting with this bot, they had a different campaign to roll out the bot. But today, as we speak, 3.3 million users are already present on that who have actually taken this test of skin analysis on this bot, and we can now segment the user and further target the user, engage the user basis how his skin looked like. And that's where it comes from, the engagement level. So I'll just skip the use case and quickly come on to a very interesting use case, which will excite a lot of our audience and will help them understand beyond the hacks. Because one of the things as a marketer, I believe that hacks are important to compete, but hacks will not take you long. So you have to have some kind of a novelty feature or a effort to build something really exciting using the technology. And today, the marketing is all about creativity, but unfortunately creativity does not limit to art now. It also involves technology use, and how you use the technology makes it special. So one of the footwear brand in Indonesia, and they were launching a new set of affordable range. But the problem statement was that they want to communicate to the user that now they are affordable. At the same time, they are a iconic brand. So how does an iconic brand say that we are cheaper now, right? It's so counterintuitive to say yourself cheaper when you are an iconic brand. At the same time, you want to penetrate into a different segment of a user who you see as a millennials who would like this product, but they cannot afford. And a simple communication will not work. Some kind of an engagement is required around it. So this problem statement was given to us. Our teams went in, did research. We did research, and we contemplated a plan which was later executed. And just to say that the budgets for this kind of a program was also limited. So we didn't had ample budgets to kind of say that we will kind of penetrate the whole market with the brute power of paid campaigns. So we had to really achieve the viral velocity of the campaign to make it viral by itself. And there it was required to bring some novelty to it. So the campaign was called Gas and Win. It was a simple campaign. I will not read out much from the PPT, but try and explain it in a very simple manner. The campaign entailed that, okay, we have to make some communication, but that communication should be such, engagement should be such that it's spread across by itself. So we did a very, going back to previous slide, our objective was to communicate the price without saying that it is cheaper, right? So we did a campaign called as Guess and Win, and through social media, through different campaigns with the support from other marketing teams, we were able to publicize this campaign. And then the campaign said, you guess and win the price. So we were showing the products of this brand on a WhatsApp as image, and one has to guess the price. And then the most important thing was is that one can easily guess the price and search on e-commerce and put the right price. But it was like a contest where if you give a right price, you might win. But how many people will win was a limited number. And everyone thought they can win because it was so easy to go and find the price of this product through various digital mediums, maybe going on their website, going on their store, if you are in the mall, or asking your friends, or going on various e-commerce site to find about this product and mentioning it there. And when you actually fail once, you cannot attempt because it's a WhatsApp number, and we were only giving one attempt to one user. And then eventually you will find another number to attempt it, or you will just tell it to your friend that, hey, this is so easy, I got it wrong. But because when you send a wrong against the image, if you send a wrong price, then we will tell you what is the right price, and then you will take that right price and take it to 10 other friends to say, hey, for this image, this is the right price, why don't you try it? And that's how we got the right gamification and right velocity, and we could get the right expectation done. And how we utilize, so one of the things I would like to explain here is a lot of these campaigns are done standalone, and then they whatever you generate out of them, you leave it for later, and do not kind of optimize it right then and there itself. Whereas it is so very important to kind of first core it and then nurture it. So we built an entire platform around it, and you can see this diagram which shows that of course, there's a reach out campaign which are happening, and then the user is coming to WhatsApp chatbot, and then Servo platform activates that conversation, and then we get the data into the DB, and then further we pass it on to other channels to communicate, and we build it in an Augmento. So this is the image which by which you can understand how this campaign looked like, and it's quite decent. It's not something which is very basic. It was really viral. It could get a lot of users which are relevant to that brand, and then eventually we don't know the numbers because it was difficult to score how much was the actual ROI of sales, but it was an interesting campaign. So this is about this case which I wanted to discuss with one and all, and I will give me a moment. Yeah, so this is about my something which I wanted to communicate here. I'll just stop the sharing part and come back to the normal screen. And I would love to have as many questions as possible within the given time frame from the audience. And I hope I was not bugging, so I beg pardon if it was too heavy for anyone to understand.
Thank you, Abhishek. So, Vandana, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek. I think it was very, I mean, the campaigns that you've created are very creative, and hope a lot of audience will take a lot from the session. I have a few questions from the registrants.
So we'll take few questions, then we'll open this forum for the audience so they can ask.
All right.
So, Abhishek, do you see these alternative mediums being successful in more industries such as FMCG, which have limited catalogs? I mean, for an apparel player, basically, what steps can they take to ensure a successful customer engagement? So, if you could focus on first FMCG, if these alternative mediums would be successful for these industries as well.
So like I said, this pandemic situation has really triggered the need of such communication channels to be present. One of the recent implementation which we did, and we take quite a pride in doing that, is Unilever home delivery in Indonesia, which is basically a store-to-door concept, and in a true sense, a hyper-local commerce concept. Like if I am a user in a particular apartment, when I place an order on an official channel of Unilever, it will actually be routed to the nearest retailer who will fulfill the order, and the chat is happening between the retailer and the consumer. However, this is under phases, and now we are kind of building this up. And how a brand should do it, like, let me just explain that first. When we started conceptualizing it for Unilever, the difficult part was we were not ready, right? Not from the technology, not from the retailer training, not for the ecosystem. So how we started it with the dropship model, where a lot of e-commerce were anyway selling Unilever products, and we created some kind of, so Unilever already operates a large call center. We kind of trained call center guys to act as an agent, and also developed a journey on a chatbot where a user can actually take the first part of the journey on the chatbot by giving the address, etc., choosing the catalog, and then eventually the order confirmation is done by the agent by placing a dropship order through either a platform like Unicommerce, or basically going on that website and on behalf of the customer place an order on Bilibili or Tokopedia, because even these platforms allow drop shippers to place order, which is a good part in Indonesia. This is how we started, because we didn't want it to stop it and wanted to check how the consumer engagement would be, and the engagement was very, very good. It was better. The bucket size was better than your e-commerce bucket size, because of course there was a consultative angle to it through a chatbot and the agent, and that's how it grew. And now it's now finally moving towards the real case of store to door, where we have created some kind of a agent app for the retailers, and user comes through WhatsApp, and the order goes into this retailer app, which is a chat agent app. Retailer talks to the user, give the catalog for with the easy system of, if someone likes to have a view of it, one can go to Carousel or Tokopedia and see how merchant chat happens there. where sharing the catalog and everything is just a one click away. Like, of course, Uber does for the driver assisted chat, right? So in that fashion, we are helping the retailer to kind of chat easily with number of consumers, and then further order management system within that. And we have some partners like Circlo. Of course, Unicommerce is one of the partner we are exploring this. So we are now started building that for FMCG companies. And for a FMCG company, from a strategic angle, it makes a lot of sense because they have already been pressed hard with implementations like Groffer, Big Basket, and all, where one gets a very extreme advantage on another, and one can do an arm twisting on pricing, etc., which was the case with organized retail. But if they actually help their organic retailers, the small retailers, to do more business and to digitally, that is the best case scenario for them, because they're actually building an ecosystem which will never give them a challenge. So that something is very exciting happening already. And I suppose India is also implementing something very interesting around it with different FMCG companies. So that is one example of an FMCG company. Of course, for fashion, it will change. And the way it will change is nothing. The mediums remains the same. The how it will be served and engagement will happen will change. So for fashion, might be one of the example I can quote you is we did a very interesting case with one of the digital an electronic brand. Okay, let me just put it as an electronic brand. They wanted to do a consumer engagement campaign, and we did a campaign for them that if you have an electronic product at home, just take a picture and send it, and then come to our store and take a picture and say what you want to buy, right? And those images we were processing basis the pixel, we are able to understand what model it is, what brand it is, to judge what is the consumer level when he bought this product, and how much he can afford now, and what his aspiration to be. So similarly in fashion, one has to create an engagement to understand the user more and give them a relevant suggestion. For example, e-commerce is all about discovery but choices, whereas conversational commerce is all about precision targeting and more apt, because in a conversation you don't like to do a discovery like an Amazon, right? You like to know appropriately, and the other side should be smart enough to give you the right suggestions to close your conversation faster. Like, you don't like friends who chat more, you like friends who make more sense. So similarly, on the other side, it is the friend you need to create for your user, and he should be a relevant friend to them. So that's the only, I would say, a logic behind it when you are creating it.
Very
And like
interesting.
these are not alternate channels. These would be, even today I call them primary channels, but these will be primary channels very, very soon.
Right. True. That's I mean quickly, very quickly happening actually.
Yeah.
So I'll take one more question. So there's a question wherein, so AI is actually a buzzword, especially when it comes to consumer engagement. Can you tell more about conversational AI's help in enabling the B2C ecosystem, and what are the key metrics to measure the impact?
Correct. So I think impact, first, let me answer the last part of the question. Impact will only be measured basis the engagement. If the engagement is happening, user is using, you can't call it a stupid system, because if user is coming, then actually user is engaged with that system, however it looks. So in terms of engagement, if you can measure it, it's better, and it's quite easy to check the logs of the good part about there. Multiple things which are good about AI and chatbots. One good part is that everything you conversate is saved as a log in the system, right? And if you are actually able to churn those logs and understand, you would be able to evolve your system very, very well. And a lot of companies do not understand that AI is not going to solve problem just by technology improving outside of them. It is very native to them, right? So for example, if I am a logistic company and I want to build a chatbot, first I will build a chatbot for tracking an order. Then I'll build a chatbot for booking a package. Then I'll build another capability in my chatbot, and then I'll make it a complete assistant where you can say anything on voice, and it will say, okay, I can do it like a friend, right? You call him and say, hey, why don't you take this packet from my home and take it, right? So for a businesses, it is very native. It's not about technology. It's about the native data which needs to be trained on ground to make it more relevant for the consumers to use or the users to use. So AI is a buzzword. I would say it's just a technology. It's a rule-based engine, right? Amplified into a computation capability, which are which is humongous. And that's why, to simplify it, we call it AI. But AI is nothing but it has to be native as well as computation capability. Computation capability is anyway building, right? So it's not something which is in the hand of an enterprise to select and see. There are other teams which are on it. But what enterprise can do internally is to building their right system, improving their legacy system to talk to this system and make it more smarter. Like one quick example, which I will give and then I'll stop, is most of our insurance companies, they use, or banks, right? They use core banking system or core insurance management system. So like in Indonesia, there's a system called as Life Asia, and Life Asia is used by all the insurance companies. Now the problem is, if Life Asia middle layer does not talk to the chatbot, how will a chatbot will become smarter? Right? So if a consumer wants to know what happened to his premium, right? Why didn't he get the, or where is his policy and how can he renew his policy? FAQs you can still answer via static data, but the data which has to come from a system needs to be integrated. So I would say that AI is a buzzword. I agree, but if seriously looking at it, we should just embrace the computation capabilities which are available and build ourselves internally to be ready for it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Damain, do we have any question from the audience?
So let's open the sessions
sure.
For the audience. So I think we have Hadi, Alex, Sunitha. So are you there, Alex? Sunitha, you're there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. You should be able to hear me now. Are you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hadi, Alex? Just wait. We can hear Hadi and Alex.
Hi, sorry guys.
Hey, Alex.
I was on the other line.
So now we're opening a session for our attendees. So we're going to have a live Q&A session. So I'll request attendees, like if you have any questions, if you can raise your hands, we can give you rights to ask directly to speakers. I think there is. So we also have few questions which has been we have collected through the emailers. So Alex, meanwhile, if you get some questions from the attendees, there is one question now while going direct to the consumer, a brand is always compared to a marketplace in providing a similar customer experience, right? So how a brand can maintain a reasonable cost while providing a similar experience?
Sorry, who was the question for?
So Alex, this is for you. Like now more like orders are increasing directly from the marketplace and from the own websites. So while going direct to the consumer, right? So brand is always compared to a marketplace in providing a similar customer experience. What markets provide a customer experience. Now there is expectation set, like if I'm delivering directly to the customer, so same expectation has been sent. So how one can maintain that the cost while providing the similar experience, the same customer experience what is been provided by the marketplace? How one can manage this?
Right, it's complex, right? Marketplaces they're much more advanced and they're much more dynamic than a individual seller who's trying to scale can be in terms of the cost they can put into basically service, speed, customer service, etc. I think what, at least in our market, what I can say in the Philippines is people appreciate is transparency and communication. So I guess understanding where your consumers trying to communicate to you. Is it via SMS? Is it via a messenger bot that's very responsive and you can give them feedback? But I think, at least in our market, I think obviously, I think the marketplaces are probably 80% of volumes in reality, and they set high standards because they've achieved the scale that they can fulfill at. But the brands, what they need to make up for in terms of capacity to fulfill at the same quality is based on, I think, immediately like clear user interfaces and clear experiences for users that set expectations and answer questions, just to be available and let them know what's going to happen, right? I think you can hurt yourself by saying, yeah, we're like Lazada and we can do next day. But if you can't, and that's what your buyers are going to expect, then you're basically setting yourself up for failure. Sorry, I don't know if that answers it well, but I think that's kind of crucial.
You answered very well. It was very helpful for my sellers. So now coming on to next questions. So I have a question for
Dharmendra, Jesha has raised his hand. He has several questions with the speakers.
Okay. So
Abhishek, if you
Abhishek,
could
can we give a right to Shah?
Yeah.
Yeah, done. Please go ahead, Shah.
Shah, you can ask.
Hi, Abhishek. This is Jigesh here from Calcutta, India. It was a very nice session. You look very different from your profile picture. And the question is that, like, how can a Ponds campaign, something similar to that, be conducted in India for a food spice product, which is an instant spice product, one of its kind in the world? Yeah. Can something like that be done, a digital campaign? Like, we operate in India, we operate in Singapore and in Australia.
See, when you talk about, so it depends on product to product. Like Ponds was a very unique case where it has a very relevance to one's beauty. So spice, I would just quickly, just for the sake of time and quick idea, is that I will map it to someone who likes cooking, right? So you might, and who is actual user, right? You can build a digital engagement campaign around a user who would be cooking at home, and then you can use an influencer network to seed that campaign, where someone just cook and then get the feedback from 5 other people about that food. I'll have to think more over it, like to give a very concrete and a complete answer, but engagement can be planned. And on WhatsApp, the beauty is that on WhatsApp, you cannot like it has to be unique, and you can know the user the moment they chat with you. So maybe a small idea that a housewife cooking and then serving that food and then getting the survey from all the people who had that food by adding a picture of the food can actually build that entire campaign up, and then it can get the viral velocity, because anyway it's easy to achieve. So we can think over it. We will connect on email, and we'll put our brains behind it. We have done some conversational commerce case in India on the packaged food. Of course, I think the brand is MTR, or not sure of the brand. But because again, anything which is where the user will stick to the brand and the particular usage of the product for long is a very good case of creating an engagement below the line, be it through a loyalty system or anything. Like one quick example, which we will give you, which we do here with Danone, which is one of the large FMCG, but they have a vertical called as ELN, Early Life Nutrition, where moms buy baby food, right? And they buy repetitively the food which baby accepts more. So in that, they have built a very good engagement campaign. I will share a video with you of that case where you will understand how to engage such users who would maybe stick on to your product for their lifetime. And spice is such a product. If you really like it, then you will keep using it.
Yeah. Can we have your contact details where we can send you more details on the mail?
Yeah, sure. I will. I'll find you on LinkedIn and send you a message.
I'm not there on LinkedIn. I can just send you my email ID.
Jignesh, don't worry. You'll get the details.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions from the attendees? Let's see. Meanwhile, we get more questions. There's one question for Sunitha. So like Sellerapp focus on streamlining the seller experience on Amazon, and with Amazon expanding aggressively in the region, so what can brands focus on to effectively leverage the Amazon platform?
There are, so just to answer just to put your question in simpler words, so you'd like to understand how brands can make themselves better in terms of how people recognize their brands, in terms of how much they're selling. That's the idea, right? You need to sell more.
Yeah.
Right? So there are a lot of things that differ in different regions of where Amazon is penetrated into. There is a lot that's more advanced in Amazon's biggest marketplace, that's US. That's where Sellerapp focuses on to the US marketplace, though we do provide services in other marketplaces as well. Considering other marketplaces, say for example, India, it is possibly 4 to 5 iterations before what is there right now in the US. Okay. So there are things that are getting advanced in every marketplace. But given that, one of the good things about selling on a marketplace like Amazon is that it does the first job for you to get customers onto the site. So you don't do a lot of work in bringing customers. The right set of customers are already there. So you got to focus on the next part to sell your product there. Whether or not people recognize your brand, you need to build that recognition and then sell. So there are multiple factors that go into a brand being recognized, whether it's outside of Amazon or even within Amazon. So many a times we would end up purchasing a brand that you would have never known just because the reviews of that product seems to be so much better than possibly the brand that you've used all the time. That's one of the great things about being on Amazon, which lets your brand build value on Amazon, which can then be projected outside on your own website. So there are multiple tools that's already inbuilt within Amazon itself, including the brand store. They have these very informative advertisement, very engaging advertisement forms now, which can be made use of. Anything that's done on any data platform, any digital platform, it works only if you can measure the results. And that's also made easy, which makes it very, very useful and at the same time very simple for people to use it. So I'd say register onto brand registry if you are already have a registered brand, most of which brands do. Start using the tools that most people don't use, though it might seem to be a little complicated in the beginning, which is why services like Sellerapp exist, to make things simpler, right? So once you are able to tap into those things, building a brand, building awareness about even an existing brand or even launching a new brand. Just to cite an example, Twinings launched one of their latest releases on Amazon first. They had huge campaign strategies built around Amazon, which were then launched to offline stores. So the numbers they had was tremendous. So there's always a potential, given that the first part where you get customers is already done by Amazon's end. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, so continuing the same, like, so what would you recommend? Like, what are the best levers for a brand to optimize the spending on Amazon to yield the best result?
Advertisement on Amazon has multiple facets to it. So one is building visibility is one part of every brand, but there are different levels within each brand also. So there is tea brand based out of India with whom we work. So they launched their brand 2 years back on Amazon. They had a very huge market outside of Amazon, but within Amazon, they weren't able to tap onto it. So there were multiple things that go into it, including ranking for the right keywords. So when somebody searched for their brand name, so let's say Tata Tea is very popular in India. So when someone looks up for Tata Tea, let's say there's something else that pops up, the easiest assumption that anybody would make is that it's not available on Amazon, so let me go with something else. But in the contrary, if somebody is searching for even the most popular term, tea bags, and Tata Tea is the one that comes up on top, there's a high chance that the Tata Tea sells for that product. As compared to somebody searching their brand name, they don't get the sale out of their own brand name. So it's important to focus on what is the keywords that you want to rank for. There are certain things that you need to optimize, including what are the words that you're picking to focus on, how do you rank for them, both with the advertisements, with organic SEO, how do you rank for them, while you do all of this, one of the things that most people fail to look at is how much you're spending versus how much you're making.
Right.
While you're doing it outside, while you're doing it on your own website, you know your numbers, you know how much you're spending. But while you're getting onto any external marketplace, there are a lot of fees, there are a lot of tiny expenses that you have every here and there. Packaging for Amazon is different from how you would package it for your own website. So
Right.
packaging has some additional costs. As long as you don't account for it, your advertisement, you might be spending, let's say $10, you might be making $100, but you wouldn't have accounted for the package. Maybe you're just breaking even. So you need to look at what are the total costs. Out of that, what should be your conversion rate? What should be the advertising cost of sales? So what should you make out of every dollar you're spending? So if you're spending $1, you're making back $10. It might seem very nice to listen to that, but only when you account for possibly the packaging, there's different shipping, then you pay Amazon, then you have storage fees for FBA. All of that accounted for gives the total picture. So it's also critical to look at these numbers in detail. The links of most of these are quite complex in external marketplaces, not just Amazon, but anything that's not on your control has to be looked into onto detail, right? So that is something that I would say is critical for you to make your ads work, to make it so anything that is general about ads, conversion rates, or placements, all of that are quite known. They're quite basic, something that somebody thinks of as soon as they run an advertisement. But these are the smaller things, but much critical things that people tend to leave.
Hello. Thank you, Sunitha. Thank you
I
for
hope that answers your question.
Yes. So now I have a question for Alex and Oren. So like now we are seeing things are moving towards online, business owners are moving towards online, customers are moving towards online. We're talking more about the AI part. So what kind of innovation you foresee in the logistics space?
Right. Well, you have to understand that the Philippines is a very traditional logistics market. A lot of the key players in terms of volumes are family businesses that have been running for 50, 60 plus years. So it's kind of ripe for disruption and actually improvements. Definitely, I think all of the old players need to work on more real-time updating on their parcels. Only a select few players that are in the Philippines actually have API integrations where you can connect these to your Shopify, WooCommerce, or your website and actually get real-time updates. There needs to be a lot of improvement in terms of rider tracking software and also mapping customer locations. When you're dealing with a archipelago with provinces that are really widespread, there are sometimes not accurate street names, or it's very, very hard to find locations. So things like pins and being able to track buyers being able to set pins and communicate and direct the riders will definitely help in terms of reshaping, I guess, the success of the logistics industry. There are players, I think one of your speakers yesterday, Last Mile, they're working on some rider-centric technology, but yeah, across all players, there's lots of things that need to happen. Yeah, from our end, I guess it's almost like we're trying to propel and urge some of the older players forward because we aggregate and we're a manager of couriers. So sometimes we're only as strong as our weakest link, if that makes sense. It's a simple kind of allegory, but the stronger everyone gets, the stronger we can actually service our merchants. And I guess for us, we want, I think a lot of people are touching on it, the power of being able to have data and have that data be as real time and usable as possible. So you know what's happening to your business, and you know if your delivery rate is really poor and your customers aren't buying in more real time. Sometimes in the Philippines with a merchant, with a courier, you might not find out for 2 or 3 months that you had 30 or 40% failed deliveries. And that absolutely can crush your business model, right? So getting these kind of updates in more real time are going to be crucial, I think. So that's kind of what we're working on. Yeah, go ahead, Oren.
Add on to what Alex said with regards to data and failed deliveries, right? So with cash and delivery, the power is with the buyer, right? There's no commitment on the buyer when he orders when he orders cash and delivery, right? Anybody can order cash and delivery. And unfortunately, at times there are some what we call bogus buyers. They would just like, put in their name and address, or absentmindedly made an order, or their son or their kid took the phone and made an order, right? So what we're also developing is, with the data that we've already accumulated, is to analyze this data and to create what we call a credit scoring of customers, right? So just like with Uber or Grab, where you can rate the riders and the drivers, so to police, your behavior. So the same thing we want to do with buyers here in the Philippines and just rate them, right? So if there is Oren, for example, who canceled his last 3 orders and now buys from a brand website, we can now inform the website, hey, Oren has a low rating. He canceled his last 3 orders. Perhaps you should offer him to prepay, right? So that's an innovation that we're looking into. And big data.
We have a couple of big data AI partners that we're actually trying to fetch, right, some of this information. We have the data, but being able to utilize is important, right? Like Oren said, credit scoring. At what probability do you implement certain measures to protect your merchant? Is it a reference check? Is it a call? So that's what you can basically expect from us in the next few months. So don't want to give away too much, but yes, there's some work being done there.
Yes, now we can see like from traditional, even the lossy player were working as a traditional, now moving towards the innovations part. They're adapting the technology and trying to get engaged with the customer. So there is lots of scope and lots of innovation we can see in the logistics space going forward. Great, thank you. So continuing the same, Abhishek, I have a question for you. Like we are talking about the innovations, customer servicing as things are moving towards the virtual world. So customer servicing is going to play a very vital role. So now customer service is also going through a lot of innovations. So can you tell us like 2 to 3 trends, or you can throw some lights like that you saw in customer servicing space?
Yeah, so like I said, now every conversation with the consumer, whether it's around support or whether it's around their journey to find what they need, etc., is an opportunity to engage. And since the engagement mediums are improving day by day, like for example, let me give you a simple example. We used to call railways to check what is the time of the train, right? That was not an opportunity or a medium where you can engage further, right? It was like anyway you're waiting in a queue, get an opportunity to speak, and verbally how much information can you extract. Now what has happened is the support has become the delight point for a consumer, right? You can really delight for 2 reasons. One, the availability of data behind the consumer who's coming on the support helps you to contextually talk to the consumer much better. With the technology, you can talk seamlessly. So for example, I go on a web-based chatbot of Amazon, talk something, and then I go out and go on official WhatsApp of Amazon. Everything, the backend is the same, right? The engine is the same, whereas the channel could differ, which makes it like you remember days when you will change the channel for support and then support will ask you the same question again. So all that has improved. The recent example which I will give you around support is out of the COVID situation, which we did with one of the healthcare facilities here, where basically one can book their COVID test appointment through a chat. And then further back forth, all the follow-up things can also be sent to that user to gratify him with more information relevant to that. Because if someone has come for a COVID test, definitely he is suspecting COVID to himself or his family member, something has happened around. So it is a right moment where you can demotivate by giving some actual information and not the information which is floating around from a right channel. So support has been improving, but what we need to do for support when we talk about AI chatbot and all, we need to build a complete system. We can't say that we build a chatbot and that's all support is. Support needs to be integrated properly. Like I mentioned in the case of insurance also, it needs to be integrated properly. It needs to have a proper system around it. So a lot of marketplace integration will help. So for example, our case with Unicommerce will be the most successful case when we are properly integrated and can provide that support solution. So trend is changing. Of course, one of the best channel for support today, without any brainer around, is WhatsApp in Indonesia. Maybe it will be Line in Thailand, or Facebook Messenger in Australia. And all three markets where we operate, the channel has changed, but the way consumer wants to talk about things and all is the same. So that is the new innovation which is feeling, that all the brands who have consumer on ground wants to be on these channels for support. So support channels have changed. The way it is handled has also changed, basis the information which is available on behind the platform, and the same information helps you to further engage the user while being in that chat.
Thank you, Abhishek, for sharing your thoughts. So I think there's no more questions. Let me check if we have any questions left. No. So I think we have now reached to our end of this amazing session. So I'd like to thank you all my panelists and the attendees for joining this session and making it a success. You've been very lovely, all attendees and the panelists. I'd like to thank you again. So I hope a lot of people would have benefited on how to boost their sales in this festive season, and we'll keep on bringing this type of sessions. We'll keep on working on our visions and making e-commerce selling simplified. So thank you everyone once again. So before winding up, like I don't think so any of these questions left. So if any attendees wants to have if have any questions, they can write us on the contact us at unicommerce.com, and we'll try to answer your queries. Okay. So thank you once again. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you everyone on board.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
Great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you everyone.